I hope it hooked up. Nick said he hooked it up.
We'll see.
We'll see. Usually there's a person there or two.
Yeah.
But it
Uh,
also is midsummer. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Chat. Maybe he didn't hook it up. I'm going to check.
okay.
I'm going to check the, how do you do it? New. Don't switch. No. Um, yeah. Usually when it's like this, that means something's up. Content live. Oh, it says it's live.
There's one person on there.
Okay. You know, I get so bent about whether or not it's working because it has not worked so many times. And
Nah.
if there's no feedback loop, I'm just like, oh, damn it. It's Cosman.
Hey,
How are you,
Cos.
man? Hope all is well, Mr. Cos. Today, it's kind of an interesting show. We got the Mr. Barton and myself, and Miles does music, but Miles is coming straight from work, and he's going to be slightly delayed getting on the stream. And Nick Hill is on a plane. I think he's currently on a plane. Is that not true, Stephen?
Yeah, that is my understanding. His flight was delayed. And he was expecting to be able to get on, but his flight got pushed back. So
Right.
he is en route to Arizona, I believe.
Okay. Oh, he's going.
He's
So
filming something for work. Yeah.
Oh,
in
so he's
Arizona.
going away.
Yeah, yeah.
I
yeah.
see. I see. Okay. Great.
If that's how I understood it, I believe he is going to Arizona to film for work.
Okay. So yeah, no Nick Hill this evening, but myself, Mr. Barton, and Miles does music. Miles will be joining us shortly. But today's topic, Mr. Stephen, I don't know how excited you are about this. I'm kind of excited about it in terms of the perspective by which we're going to approach it, which is we're going to be talking about being musicians on the internet, being artists on the internet, however you want to kind of think about that. The thing that I run into a lot, I'm curious to hear what the climate is around you, for you, and around you. A lot of musicians, a lot of artists are really uncomfortable with the internet, being on the internet, how to go about being on the internet, all that stuff. They feel like they have to sell themselves. They feel like maybe imposter syndrome. They feel like, there's no boundary between their personal life and their sort of artist persona, if you will. All these sorts of things. And these are all kinds of like pretty big problems, like personal problems for people, like big hurdles to get over. Some people can't find a way to get over them. How has it been for you getting onto the internet as an artist and getting comfortable with kind of being here, doing what you do? How did you find your stride? Have you found your stride? All that stuff.
Let's see. Well,
And
I've been
maybe
dealing.
what is the climate around you
Okay. Okay.
also?
Well, I mean, in some respect, I kind of grew up with the internet for music stuff. So, I mean, it came along later in life, obviously, when I was a teenager, but it was a thing. There used to be a website called GarageBand.com before Apple had GarageBand. Yeah. And that used to be a thing that I would submit music to all the time. Like, I'd post my stuff on there because I had like InTrack Studio, which is a terrible recording program from the day. But I would record ideas and put them on there. So
Were
that's
you
always been a thing.
also on mp3.com and all
Yeah.
that stuff? Were you around for that stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, I was on there, and of course MySpace and Reverb Nation.
Yeah.
So some of those still exist somewhere. I mean, I'm sure that they're there.
Mhm.
It's almost impossible to navigate them now, but they're there.
Yeah.
I don't. There was always some form of that, but I never. To get to kind of what you were asking, I never felt comfortable with it entirely. I think that over time have gotten more comfortable with it. Like this is different. Like the YouTube things definitely you kind of have to be somewhat comfortable with that in order to speak into the camera and
Yeah.
feel not feel stale or actually feel like people are having some sort of interaction or a conversation with you. Granted, it's all pre-recorded for the most part, but in order to feel natural, I mean, with including even dealing with having spoken to you and Nick about becoming more personal and more myself on those things is a thing. It doesn't bother me. I think the part that gets weird for me is the selling of myself thing. I'm not a huge fan of that. I want to be more comfortable with it, but I'm also not a fan of that in playing shows either.
Yeah. We've talked about this before.
Yeah, so I tend to just kind of mention, hey, we're going to go sit over here after we're done, similar to what you do. But like, I don't really try to push people into buying things. And
Yeah.
I'm bad about that here. I'll mention like there's video stuff, and then every one of my videos has a link to my music, but I don't always say that it's there, which I probably should do more. But there is a weird part of feeling like that's a thing, and I think there's also a stigma with it because of things like YouTube. You'll find that like just being transparent. I've done videos with promotion stuff like the microphones and stuff. I've done videos where companies have sent me stuff, very low end stuff, like as far as like on the grand tier of things. I'm not getting like free guitars and stuff, but some free microphones and such. But I noticed that those videos don't do great, and there'll be a drop in subscribers after I do them.
Right.
Where I'm actually promoting something that someone's giving me, and then I kind of feel like, okay, well, are you mad that someone gave me something? Because I get that, like, but I also like, I didn't seek them out; they sought me out, and I understand that, like,
Yeah.
the perception can get weird, and I take that into consideration. Like, well, people are leaving because I'm like, hey, check out this microphone that this person sent me to check out. Are you gonna bail when I'm like, hey, buy my music?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very precarious kind of path to walk in terms of how hard is the sell, feeling like it's a sale. Like, I definitely make no bones about it. I am on the internet because of my interest in creating music and my desire to share it. But I try to share it in a pretty passive way. But I'm upfront about making sure that it's known that it's there. Because I don't want to waste my opportunity of being there, I guess. Like being out front and having an opportunity saying, it's here if you're interested.
Yeah.
And what I learned early on about it at least in terms of this video thing, and I think it translates into all the other mediums, whether it be text or just audio or whatever, is very often when I am very passive about it and I don't really say anything or I don't give any direction, people will ask, like, where can I find it? And there's already like a lot of nuggets saying, well, it's here, whatever. And it's always in the description and all that kind of stuff. But I find for some reason, it's still difficult for people to find. And I find that kind of interesting, but it's less difficult for them to find when I just be like, hey, it's down below.
That makes sense. And then there's the whole thing with on the back end of YouTube where people tell you if you want. A lot of people watch videos and don't subscribe. The only way you can get subscribers is to encourage people to subscribe, but also people that are already subscribed occasionally get annoyed that you're asking people to subscribe. So it's a similar thing.
Yeah.
I also feel like if the service is a weird way to put it. If the thing I'm making and I'm spending time on is ultimately free, you're watching this for free, I'm interacting with you, we're not paying anything to do this really necessarily.
Yeah.
If it's all this effort dumping into it and the only thing I'm getting out of it is the process, really.
Yeah.
I enjoy doing it. So it's kind of like, okay, well, I'm sorry you're upset that I'm doing this thing, but you also, just like anything else, you can change the channel, watch a different thing. Like, I understand I guess I wish I did understand the animosity towards it a little more, but like, I don't know if they feel like you're selling out because you're like, hey, get my stuff, but I don't know.
I don't know. We got to eat.
Right.
I understand that you have auxiliary forms of income, but for myself, I'm definitely all my life I've been interested in trying to kind of make a go of it.
Right.
And there's a million different ways you can do it. Approaching 50 years old, I don't really want to tour a lot anymore. If I'm, using the internet, if I find out that there is a crowd of folks who are interested in what's going on down in California, I'll go to California or whatever. It doesn't matter what the place is. I'm happy to do something like that, but I don't want to tour anymore. And the internet is, for me, the better place. And
Yeah.
it works for a lot of people. I think it's just, enough of the right people kind of all coming together, meaning like this party and that party. And once that happens enough times, maybe it can all work and
Right.
you can,
Yeah.
but it's a lot of legwork to make it happen. And if somebody's upset about it, they're probably not going to be interested in the rest of like the reason why I'm here anyway.
Right.
So
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
it's a weird thing because very few people want to ruffle feathers for the purpose of ruffling feathers. Like I don't want to upset anyone for the sake of upsetting someone.
Right. Right.
But that's what we're worried about. But I'm not doing that, so I'm not worried about it. But I know that it will upset some people.
Right. Yeah, I hope to, like, we are, like, my band is planning to tour again at some point since it's becoming a thing again, but we're trying to find, like, we're releasing things a certain way this time in order to try to leverage where to go with touring and be smarter about it. And unfortunately, if I did everything based upon where people pay attention, I would never play a show in the U.S. again, just being truthful.
Yeah.
Because the vast majority of people who pay attention to our music are in the Netherlands or in Australia. So it's also, that would be amazing to play there. It's also logistically almost impossible. So it's
I think it's about in that regard. I understand your the difficulty in it, but I think it's about sort of the linking up with the right promoter. If you find the right promoter who's actually interested in what you're doing, then they are linked up with a backline company that comes with the van and all that kind of stuff. I know people who do it, do exactly what you're talking about, but they've just been fortunate for those three things to come together: the region, the right promoter, and sort of touring package, and the band. And the key to making it work is to just keep going.
right. Well, we've had almost 2 years of not doing anything because of COVID.
Right.
And we put out a record and couldn't really tour on it. I think we played 3 shows in promotion of the record. And because so much downtime took place, like 1 hour already working on another record. So
yeah. How far along are you with the new record?
Drums and guitars and like overdub guitar stuff for 8 of the songs are done. Now we have to do basically bass vocals for this group of songs, and we have an additional 3 songs that are in the demo phase. And my plan is to get another. We're gonna have 12 songs total, so I'm gonna another 6 or so to finish or whatever, and then we're gonna cut through those and narrow it down. So, but yeah, I think
a third of the way there, I guess.
Yeah. I think the hope is to by August start releasing, a song a month, in preparation for the record.
And is there a way to kind of make Close the Hatch more of a internet friendly experience? Or is it just not the right fit?
I think it could. It's it would come down to me doing it, and that's not a slight against the fellas in the band.
No, for sure. It's got to be the right
It's
people, or else it's not
right.
going to
It's
happen.
just it's got to be one of us heading up the thing. If it was going to be anyone, it would be me and Sean O'Shaughnessy, the other guitar player.
Yeah.
He and I have kind of spearheaded everything. We're doing a lot of things on the back to try to change how we're doing this stuff moving forward. But I'm trying to figure out, like, I want to be able to go where people give a shit,
Of
because
course.
we
Yeah.
we don't. I don't mind playing house shows. Great. I'm fine with doing a whole tour of house shows, but there has to be people at them, and a way to balance out the cost of doing it. And if there isn't, then it's, it becomes very tricky for us to do
This
it.
is why I think, this is just my opinion, but this is regarding your efforts as Stephen Barton on the Gear Stuff and Things thing and the Close the Hatch. I think it would be of great value to you and Close the Hatch and everybody who's interested to close the gap on that and make Close the Hatch more of a central example piece in your playthroughs and all that kind of stuff. For a couple reasons. It's an opportunity for people who are fans of the band and fans of what you do to kind of get a little bit more personal with you.
Right.
And number two, you can see where the interest is coming from geographically
That's
through
true.
all of the analytics. Therefore, all interested parties potentially can close the gap in terms of getting together, playing shows, and being, enjoying everything more. I know it's like there's a certain amount of awkward kind of thing in that. Like both you and Nick have expressed, it's like, I'm not sure about that. But I think if you did it from the point of view of like, I like this stuff and I like playing it and it's fun to show. And it's a perfect example of the thing that I'm trying to demonstrate. If you can check all those boxes,
Yeah.
I think you're good. It's up to you. I'm not telling you what to do.
No, I think it
Obviously.
makes sense. I'm seeing, just being truthful, I see a growth in subscriptions to the Close the Hatch YouTube thing, which I haven't messed with hardly, other than I'll upload something and I never look at it again.
I do a good
There's
job of trying to make you talk about it.
good. I appreciate it, and yeah, you and Nick both have been very helpful with that stuff. It's interesting to me to see growth happening there, because I've never done anything to really promote it over there because of the Gear Stuff and Things thing.
Yeah.
I think my goal would be to I want to do what you're suggesting. I have to find a way to make it feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So that's really what I've struggled with. I did a while ago, about a year ago, I posted a video just playing through one of the songs from the last record, and it did okay as far as reception. People were cool about it. And I posted some solo material this past week, and that did well. Surprisingly, I thought it was going to kind of be like
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah,
Was it your sort of music video that you shared?
Yeah, yeah.
Of the Ohio Faust stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was great.
Thanks.
That was absolutely great. Cool. I'm curious, hopping over to the comments here. Hello, everyone. Cosman, Anthony, Electric Meat Puppet, David, and who else? I think that's all we got in the comments anyhow. How are you guys? Question for all of you in the comments, in the chat. How comfortable are you with putting yourself out on the internet, putting your music out on the internet, all that kind of thing? And I'm very curious, something that is central to my method is My personal life is not on the internet at all, but my professional life, the Bunn, like the artist guy, the music guy, is all over the internet. And I'm curious how many people are kind of wrestling with that distinction. Stephen, I know that you do have some personal social profiles out there. I don't. I have a Facebook one that is inactive. There's nothing on it. It's only so I can have a Facebook account. How are you with that? Or do you use social media a lot personally, or is it, as an artist, is it enough? For me, it's completely enough. Everything that I want out of social media, I get through my artist accounts, and I don't need to use social media for my personal at all. And the best thing I ever did was separating them right off the top, and always have artist accounts, and my personal thing is non-existent.
As time has went on, I still have personal accounts, and in my Facebook, I would say is the most personal of them, but I don't really do a lot there. I mean, I've kind of gotten away from it. I'll go in occasionally. I'll look and see what's going on in different groups that I'm a part of.
Yep.
But I don't really post a lot of personal stuff. Not that I ever really did. It was usually just me like doing the same thing I'm doing in general. Like I'm into this thing right now. I'm into this music or this song or whatever. It was never really like, here's what's going on in my life. Occasionally I'd post something about, something to do with my wife and I going to do something. But even that stuff is pretty slim these days.
Yeah.
I don't.
By the way, I just want to interject. I'm not like talking down having a personal profile. Just so everyone's clear on that. That's what I do. And I think it's a contentious sort of median to walk for a lot of people who want to have a personal life on social media and an artist life, and the line gets blurry.
Yeah, it can. I think that because I've definitely been, the things I'm interested in have always been the same. So anyone who knows me in that fashion knows that these are the things I'm interested in. So I've only ever really shared like things that I'm interested in. So music and things that's just stuff that. So I do use it as a way to. I'll basically share the same links as far as my own music or videos here. I share those there, but I don't often check. I don't check Facebook enough to really, for lack of a better term, to care whether people respond to certain things. If I see an influx of notifications, then I go look.
Right.
Otherwise, I have it so I can be a part of groups and so I can use Messenger because I do use that frequently. That's how I communicate with my band and a few other family members and stuff.
You know that you can follow groups as your page, just so you know. I do everything as my page.
Gotcha. I've seen that on other things lately, but I just go on through the laptop anymore. Like I don't have it on my phone or anything.
Yeah, same.
So I kind of forget that it exists sometimes, which is a good thing. Throughout the course of the past year and a half, like early on into the pandemic stuff, Facebook was such a cesspool that I just deleted a lot of it. Like I unfollowed almost everything on there. Like I did everything I could to remove the political and socio stuff that was happening from my line site because it just was interfering with me.
Yeah, it's amazing how much of the social media experience in general, but specifically the Facebook and Twitter experiences have been soiled forever for a lot of people because of the whole political, socio-political kind of stuff. And I totally get it. It's interesting though, because that whole landscape has completely transformed once again. And it looks like folks, at least the way that I use it all, it seems like people are ready to party again, ready to have a good time, get into creative things.
Yeah. Instagram, I have a personal profile, but it was started as a business profile when I was running a record label. And over time, I stopped doing the label stuff as much. And then
Red Moth?
Yeah, and then I converted it to an LLC and was using it for other things. It kind of just became, over time, it's a personal thing. But I don't, again, like the most personal thing I'll post on there is something to do with like my wife and I doing something.
Right.
But for the most part, it's the same stuff. I don't know if anyone in this conversation or whatever follows me on either one of them. You'll see I post basically, I'll literally post the same thing to both profiles.
Double
Because
dipping.
but my personal profile has 1,000+ people that are different than
Yes.
the gear stuff and things profile.
And there's
So-
only a few that kind of
Yeah.
follow over.
Right. So I try to use it to cross pollinate as best I can. And if people don't dig it, I don't know. I don't even know how the algorithms work over there anymore because there for a while it was a complete disaster. So I don't know who sees what or whatever there. I will say that for our podcast, Instagram, the podcast I do with my wife, Instagram is almost the exclusive way we communicate with the people that listen to the podcast.
Yeah, interesting because Instagram doesn't link out.
No.
Yeah, awesome. Do you have some kind of like, do you pay for any kind of linking, or it's just the link in profile and that's it?
Yeah, we just have the Linktree thing, and if we leveraged Mercedes' notoriety initially to spread the word, and that helped build an immediate audience that was still a couple hundred people. It was tiny. And then because the subject matter is what it is, that number went down quickly because it's not for everyone. But as time has went on, we've been able to leverage it as a focus point. So we encourage people that listen to go there as a way for us to interact with them, and it helps.
Look who it is.
Hey,
It's okay. We can start the news.
all right.
Welcome, Miles. Miles. You're gonna see in the console. Sorry, crew in the chat, but I gotta give some direction here. You'll see above your viewer, there's 3 dots. Click those 3 dots, and you can change your screen name.
3 dots. Oh, that one. Aha.
It'll say edit name, then you can go in there and mess with it.
I'm going to grab a few comments here while we're doing this all up and getting ready to get into it. But David Hallwell Jr. says, oh, here we go. I can show that on the thing. Holy shit. Already episode 20. Wowzers.
Wowzers.
It is actually, it's pretty insane.
Hi, David.
I can't believe it either. And Mr. Cosman says, to what Bunn is saying, I agree. I see your GST and channel and CLT never comes to mind.
I think he's saying
close the hatch.
Close the hatch.
Yeah. Like when he watches your videos, he doesn't think of close the hatch ever, and it should.
Well, that means I'm doing something wrong. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't call it wrong. So Miles, to catch you up here, the first point that we covered was, and we're going to have you go around on this as well.
Sure.
But, what does it mean to you personally being an internet musician? What does it serve? How much does it serve the live component? How do you feel about being an artist on the internet and all these things? But I'm going to just grab a few more comments here, and then so think about those things, and then we're going to talk about them. Mr. David says, I think I was super nervous about it at first, but I've kind of started using my SoundCloud as the roadmap to my history with recording and my gradual advancement. Yeah, sort of those baby steps. And SoundCloud is a great platform for that because you can just kind of focus on the music and kind of get comfortable with the interactions and also how SoundCloud is going to interact with other social medias like Twitter, whatchamacallit, Facebook, etc. I think Facebook and Twitter are really the only places that you can share SoundCloud links anymore. Yeah? Do you guys
I don't know? I got away from SoundCloud for a while, so.
Yeah. I still have one, but it's minimal how I use it. Cosman says, to answer, Bunn, I rarely venture outside of my bunker. probably your physical bunker as well as your internet bunker. It is a thing. And Anthony Nieto says, hello, Anthony. My professional career was in tech social media, so I'm extremely comfortable with sharing personal life. Spoiler, it's pretty boring, mellow. I don't know. I think you're a pretty cool guy. So I disagree, Anthony Nieto. But yeah, I think the big gist that I'm getting here is that everybody loves MySpace and wants it to come back, according to Mr. Cosman.
Obviously.
I really loved MySpace, by the way.
That's kind of awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing.
We should do a whole episode about how a bunch of bands got signed from it because they had fake plays.
Yeah, that was a big thing. That was a huge scandal.
On MySpace and Pure Volume.
Oh, Pure Volume. Bam!
Forgot about that was a thing.
I liked
people
Pure
people
Volume.
used bots and they got signed because of bots.
Yeah, and then
fucking
nobody
wild.
ever showed up to the
Those
shows.
are the days.
There's a few fairly big bands that still exist that got signed that way.
That's amazing. Was Darkest Hour one of them?
Maybe Devil Wears Prada was definitely one of them.
Right.
Miss May I, Corpus Christi. Yeah.
Wow. Mr. Miles, you and the social media and the internet, kind of, how comfortable are you with it? How do you use it primarily? Is it a promotional vehicle? Is it the permanent sort of residence of your internet self? Like, does it take the place of a website? How much does it complement your live performing? All of those sorts of things. And how comfortable is it to you? Like, how comfortable are you with it? And the people around you, the other musicians around you, are you the only one? Lots of questions. You don't have to answer all of them, but I just want to kind of get that vibe. That's the vibe that we're kind of coming at this.
Well, first off, hi everyone in the chat. I'm sorry I was trying not to interrupt the dialogue that was taking place. So, hello everyone. Enjoy my Dave Chappelle poster. I enjoy it. I'm glad to be here. As far as my sort of presence in terms of social media in reference to doing music, it's been interesting because I remember when bands first started putting stuff up on MySpace, initially doing that, and like I remember when MySpace was like brand new and it was like 12 people, and it was like
awesome.
one guy across the other side of a room being like, "Hey, do you play guitar?" And I'm like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Me too." And then it became like this whole big sort of culture of like uploading all your stuff on there, listing all your shows. I was able to book a tour through MySpace. Like I was one of those
quite
guys
a few
that was
tours.
like, yeah, we can get 3,000 people to this venue. Yeah, we got it. It's gonna be great. But as far as present day, a lot of the promotion that I do for my band that used to be done via posting like flyers in places like the library or a coffee house or a bar or something like that, doing most of that on Instagram or Twitter. And it's been interesting because the entire culture of what we know of social media today is sort of ever evolving, and it's hard to not be in that position where once you figure out something, it's no longer valid in terms of like how to put what you're trying to put out into the world out there where it can be seen. Like I tell a lot of my students about how a lot of books about the music industry are kind of obsolete by the time they are published and printed, because it just takes that long for it to be published and printed, and things just change that quickly. And especially nowadays where we exist in this sort of like feedback loop where like we see one person get successful doing something sort of unique.
Oh, got a little froze there. Damn.
Come back, Miles.
Come on back, Miles.
Am I back?
You are.
There you
Okay.
are. So you're going to have to recap on that one.
Okay, so it's an interesting sort of position to be in right now, just because like things are ever evolving,
Mhm.
and so like you don't want to be in a position where you're catching on to how to distribute information to the world when it's no longer the way that everyone's doing it.
Right.
And
Late to the party.
yeah, and I am notorious for being that guy. And I remember when Instagram first came out, I didn't have an iPhone, so I just didn't have Instagram. I'm like, well, this phone takes pictures and they look like screenshots from a Game Boy too, so I don't really care. What's the difference? But once I had it, and I realized that if you're attaching hashtags to all the photos, that it's expanding the reach of who can see your photos. And then as more people start to become savvy to that fact, it sort of oversaturated what Instagram used to be, of a timeline of everything being sort of posted in the order of when it was posted.
Mhm.
And I was telling a student earlier today while I was at work about how it's the same thing with Facebook, where there's such a saturation of people that are utilizing platforms like Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and everything else to promote themselves, that you can't see a lot of posts from people, especially if
Mhm.
it's something that they're trying to promote an event or something like that. And so all these platforms, they try to get around it by making you pay to promote your stuff so that it can be visible. So even with that, there's a lot of just trying to find ways to promote yourself without actually using the sort of like keywords that the search engines will look for, that says like, oh, he's got a show that he's promoting, put him down at the bottom unless he wants to pay us money.
Yeah, paid reach. And you've been having, the big motivator to get you on the show today to talk about these things. By the way, you're welcome to join us every week.
Don't tempt me, I'll do it.
It is the death.
I'll bomb the
crew.
stream.
But the thing that I really wanted to talk about today was TikTok. I'm very resistant to TikTok. Stephen recently got on board because of yourself. Taking a look at your profile, I went back to it and taking a look at your profile. A lot of great things. I didn't think there would be an audience for that kind of stuff, and I was basing that on the sort of trends of what you see on TikTok. And I'm like, well, there's definitely room for the smaller niches or whatever. And you've carved out a great audience there. And can you tell us a little bit about what that felt like going into it, what it's like now, and how it's translating as being an artist?
Well, with TikTok, it was funny because I had gotten TikTok on my phone, like just as a curiosity thing.
Mm-hmm.
And initially I had posted a number of things that I'd already posted on Instagram, just because I was like, let's just put something here. I've tried to be of the mindset of like, expand your reach by any means necessary. So like, just make yourself available on all platforms. You don't have to necessarily focus in on all of them, but at least have something where you have a presence, whether it be Snapchat or TikTok, something that's more niche oriented. And so I posted like 3 videos, forgot that I even had the app on my phone. And I think it was like maybe a year later, I went back and checked it and realized that I had a video that had like 100,000 views on it. And I was like,
Whoa.
what? And it was a video I did of me just playing a snippet of a song from Korn, but I like put 2 videos of myself in the same room,
Right.
playing 2 guitars. And there's just like a bunch of comments from people that are like, that's amazing. Who's your sibling? Who's your brother? And I'm like, that's
I love that people
just don't know.
they just don't know. It's amazing. I know that video. I know the video you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but that's
amazing.
the one that like really blew up on TikTok. And so when you have an instance like that where you see that sort of response from something that you post,
Yeah.
the first thing you say is like, okay, how do I do that again? because I think at the root of all this, it's all about just like getting that same boost of dopamine that you get from being like, whoa, my post is blowing up. And then what typically happens is that you post something else that you're like really proud of and no one cares.
Crickets.
So
Yeah.
what I was doing with TikTok was just trying to figure out what is making everyone's posts more visible. So you'll see that a lot of people will post up on TikTok with the hashtag for you or FYP for you page. And that seems to be a popular hashtag. And the way that they construct TikTok seems to be different than how like Instagram is constructed, where if you're using a real popular hashtag, it'll kind of just get like suppressed down because it's already been overused.
Right.
And there's actually websites with lists of hashtags that you shouldn't use on
Wow.
Instagram, which is crazy.
Instagram or
ever-evolving.
TikTok or both?
For Instagram for that.
Right.
For TikTok, I'm not even really sure what's going on there yet as far as
Right.
that, because it's a different presentation overall.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I've interacted with people that I never thought that I'd actually like gain an actual sincere connection with. Like there's a guy that I've been following for years on YouTube. He runs the channel Ska Tune Network.
Mhm.
He does like ska covers of famous songs and stuff like that. And like now we're like best buds because he found me on TikTok and he's like, dude, I love your videos. And I'm like, me? You noticed me? You know? And so there's that. And there's other people as well. Like I know you're following Josh from JHS Pedals. Like he
Yeah.
just hopped on the bandwagon there. And John Mayer's on TikTok now. So now it's Guitar Central.
Yeah.
But the other resource that I'm going to be trying to utilize with TikTok is the fact that they just gave me the ability to post longer videos in a minute. Because originally I was trying to just do like little snippets of like excerpts of videos that I have on YouTube, or
Yeah.
do like little lesson videos and stuff like that, just to be like, by the way, if you want lessons, I know a guy. And so with 3 minutes, I can do a more generalized or more elaborate lesson that isn't all like sped up 15%. I have to change the pitch of my voice and stuff. So I find it's been really useful, also for my band, because just on a whim, I made a TikTok profile for my band. I posted up like a snippet of one of our music videos, and then that blew up, and I'm like, okay, cool. And then people started being like, you guys got merch? And I'm like, we do have merch. It's over there. Go get it. And like buying merch. But it's a lot of people from like middle America, Midwest. And
Right.
so they're like, you got to come out to Mississippi. You got to come out here. And I'm like, have you checked the news lately? It's been a tough year for traveling.
Yeah.
But
Can you tell us a little bit about the link out? So I have no experience with it whatsoever. But you're talking about, the merch is over here. The band page is over here. How do these things work together with TikTok? What is the sort of link out opportunities? Is there any? And like how do you connect all the dots using TikTok?
Well, what I see a lot of people doing, I'm really just kind of doing it based on what I see from other people, but
But you're the artist that we know that is, actually using it. So whatever you say is the law.
Well, it goes like this. No, basically what I see a lot of people doing, and it's similar to what you would already do with Instagram, where you would have like I know for you have like a sort of widget from your website that has like ways to get to other places where your music is,
That's
where
right,
your
yeah.
YouTube channel is and whatnot. So a lot of people have like Linktree and they do that. And you get to a certain level with TikTok where you can do live videos,
Mhm.
and then people can donate gifts, basically like stickers and stuff, kind of like how you would do a live stream on YouTube.
Right.
And because I didn't realize that I had that many people following me on TikTok, I didn't realize that I past the threshold of doing live videos. So I just started doing them on a whim. And people were tuning in, and I'm just talking to them about anything and everything. Some people will be like, do you know this song from Pantera? And I'm like, maybe. Let's find out. Let's find out together. And, you know, just from those like sort of like simple conversations, people ask you questions like, are you in a band? Like, do you have any music anywhere? And the good thing about live streaming on TikTok is that you don't have to worry about getting copyright strikes. So I can literally like, listen to people's songs and my own stuff on the live stream and not worry about getting tagged.
Right.
So, you know, it's a good opportunity to show like your own stuff and present it in that way. But like also just like any snippets of videos that you have, you can use some of the effects that they have for the videos on TikTok where like it's green screen, where like let's say you take a snippet of one of your videos from your channel on YouTube, you can have yourself standing in front of that video being like, yeah, that's me. I do a lot of stuff talking about baritone guitars on my channel. Link down below. Yeah, it's great. It's wild.
Like digital green screen.
Yeah, like the Zoom green screen where like you don't really have a green screen behind you and like stuff pokes through and stuff.
Okay.
Like it's not totally effective. But yeah, so you can do stuff like that. I'll find a way to send you like a list of all the effects and stuff that are helpful in that case.
Yeah, cool. Miles, I've shared your YouTube link in the comments here. Can they find your TikTok through there?
Can they? Yes. Yes, they can. Yes, they can.
Good.
I remember because I posted on every single video, and I should remember that I do that in Premiere Pro and that it's annoying because it's not sized right.
Yeah. I didn't even think of like going and getting it beforehand. I don't, total gap, but they'll be able to find it. Cool. Stephen Barton, you have recently got on the TikTok train as a result of Miles's influence. Am I correct on that assumption?
Yeah.
I follow you on there.
Direct influence. Oh, well, if it makes you feel good, it shouldn't make you feel anything personally, but I haven't been on there in probably 2 months.
You missed out on some great scooter content that I sent you.
Oh, well. Yeah, let me get
going on.
Here's my thing with TikTok and where it gets weird for me. In general, it's weird, but you can't open it without something screaming at you. It immediately came to you, by the way. That's the first thing.
So here's the thing that might be valuable for everyone. I realize that even Miles, you're so bad at
I'm the worst.
Screaming out of the internet. It's amazing that that's the first thing, and it's ripping riffs.
Yeah.
But even Mr. Miles, the TikTok professional, the consummate TikTok professional, even this guy didn't know this. TikTok now supports, has a web widget and a desktop app that you can download and do everything from the desktop. There are certain limitations. I tried updating my profile information and I had to go into the app. I had to download the app and do it on the phone, that part. But other than that, if you want to just post videos and interact with stuff, you can use the desktop app or the desktop website. And the secondary benefit, Mr. Stephen Barton, is nothing opens up and screams at you if you do it that way. You're
awesome.
Yeah, you're completely in control of the experience, and it's a little bit more mellow. And it's if you're, a creator and you're doing social media all day, it's a little easier on the brain, and you can sort of structure it in a way where you can check in with the people, the creators that you're personally following, and prioritize that. Whereas if you use the phone app, like you say, you open it and something is screaming at you. Someone's dancing.
Usually Miles.
Gotta dance.
Yeah. One of the things about TikTok in terms of the app, though, is it does not really prioritize the people that you follow in terms of the phone app. And it doesn't even prioritize big creators. Or at least it didn't.
the way that the timeline is split, there's like your friends, like the people that you're following
Right.
on one avenue, and then the other one is like the sort of recommended feed of stuff that you can
General.
swipe through.
Okay, it's a little. I
And
haven't caught up with that. That's good to know.
it's interesting because like you can easily go down like a weird path with TikTok by just like liking a random video.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like I learned about this sort of like middle of America cult thing. That's like a garden commune.
Whoa.
It reminds me of the show The Path, and I keep thinking The Path, but it's not The Path. It's something that's
Right.
The Garden. And like they
Whoa.
actually had a profile on TikTok for a little while where like they were presenting all the things they were doing in terms of like gardening, and how like there was a cat that attacked one of their chickens, so they kind of skinned the cat and then ate it.
Wow.
First out of it, it was intense. And then people started calling them a cult, and they started like making videos joking about that, like passing around a big jug of Kool-Aid. It was a thing. It was a thing. And I'm just like, how did I get here? How did this happen?
Exactly.
But I found that there are so many people that are presenting music-oriented stuff on TikTok now, because of the fact that it doesn't sort things in the same way that
Right.
Facebook or Instagram do.
Right.
And
Even if it does sort things, it does it in a different way, so you're potentially getting in front of a whole new audience.
yeah, it's like randomized, like
Right.
legitimately.
Yeah.
And like there's I like when I first got into TikTok, there wasn't as many people on it because like it was going through that sort of transitional period of being originally Musically and then
That's right.
converting over to TikTok. And everyone's like, that's a kid's app. What am I going to do with that? I don't dance. And so I was like, well, I'll post some guitar videos. Maybe someone will like it. So
Yeah.
I figured it's just like, I'm throwing stuff against the wall to see what's going to stick.
Yeah. And you got 100,000 views on Corn.
Yeah, dude. Everyone
Amazing.
loves Corn. Everyone on TikTok loves Corn.
Not gonna lie,
Limp
that
Bizkit.
first Corn album was actually really good. So
Yes.
Have you heard the production on the most recent record? It's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I got to check it out.
You-
The
but
nothing
you're-
or whatever. Like even
the
if you're what's that?
the production's great, but the songs are not.
Oh no, the songs are great. It's just for me, Jonathan Davis is my hurdle with Korn anymore. I loved them when I was a kid, but once you're like 25 years into him still complaining about his life, it's a little weird. And that what he's doing, his Scatman stuff. But no, the production on that record is amazing. It's one of the best records I've ever heard.
Really?
But as far as production goes, it's just massive sounding.
I'm gonna go and listen to it.
Yeah, I
But
got to check
it's-
it out now.
And it's really natural sounding too. So there's
Wow.
that. Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing. But just for listening to the record itself, I got Nick into it, and he seemed pretty bummed initially because I got him into it.
That's so Nick.
I was going to say, that doesn't sound like Nick at all.
It's just a great sounding record. Whether you like Korn or not, if you appreciate good production on a record, it's they're still one of those bands that can afford to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a record, and it shows. It's an amazing sounding recording.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
I'm gonna check it out. Gang, we're gonna grab a few comments. So get your eyes into the comment. Miles, you're able to stream or peruse that and,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
select them and all that kind of stuff. You can see how that works, right?
I think so. I feel like such
Dave-
an old man now. How does
Dave-
this work?
How does that work?
What's a right click? What is this?
Mr. David is saying, I've been considering doing stuff on TikTok, but I cannot figure out how to add my own music and do the backgrounds and all that stuff. I would suggest just do it all in a NLE, in a nonlinear video editor, Premiere, even iMovie, whatever. Just do it on a computer and upload it from your desktop. There's going to be some criteria that you're going to have to hit there. in terms of the aspect ratio and the file format, but get good with the NLE first. You don't have to. You don't have to be amazing. You just have to do it, or do it straight from the phone. But if you want to do these things that you're talking about, you're gonna need to put it together on a desktop and then upload it from there. But there's a few things to know. If you need any help, you can ask any of us.
There's a great app that I was using originally when I first started making videos for YouTube that I was using for TikTok called Video Leap. And you can take music that you have, like if you have it on your phone or like in the files folder or Dropbox or whatever, you can import that into a video project and sync it up and do all that stuff. And you can add text to it. And there's effects built into the app itself. But I've been trying to experiment with some of the effects that are native to TikTok recently. And some of them are kind of cool. But I also made the mistake of making a video recently with like my actual camera, and now everyone's like, "Oh, the picture's so good, you should do that again." So like now I gotta go into Premiere and do it that way. But at least I know now I don't have to do like the whole transfer from my computer to my phone in order to upload it. So, but yeah, just noodle around a little bit, and you can kind of figure things out as you go along. I just figured out the voice to text feature that TikTok has, which is really helpful because apparently there's a lot of hearing impaired people that are using TikTok and that were complaining that they didn't know what was going on in the videos. Yeah. Wow. And so it's helpful in that case, but like now the new complaint is that they changed the voice. Like everyone's upset about that. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff, and you can also link to your actual recorded music if you have it on Spotify or streaming platforms of some sort on the video. And
your TikTok stuff, depending on who you uploaded with, you can put your own music to your videos from the TikTok library if you use something like DistroKid.
Yes.
There's a couple services. I think most of the services are getting everything up to TikTok. And it works sort of like how music works in stories on Instagram.
Right. Like if I could figure it out, anyone could figure it out. So
just
gotta try.
You are brilliant, and it's big pressure on the world here.
You just need to hang out with me every day and just give me compliments throughout the day. Just keep me hyped. Just be like, yeah, dude.
Get stoked! Get stoked, Miles! Anyone else got a comment in their eyes here?
Let's see.
No, I really want you to do the motivational stoked thing, but on really mundane things like wash those dishes. Boy.
You can do it!
Yeah.
No, like seriously do that and watch it blow up. Watch it blow up.
Yeah, it is the perfect storm for that sort of thing.
Well, there's a guy that I've been following who it like inherently looks very angry. I forget what his account is, but like you can basically duet videos on TikTok. So like someone will post a video and then you can basically record video next to it.
Yeah. I've seen those.
And
the sea shanty
he blew up because there was a video of some woman who was making a cake and she was saying that like people in her previous video were making fun of her cake. And he's like, "Who said something about your cake? The cake is beautiful." Don't nobody say nothing about the cake. And like that's his whole thing. He does angry reactions. And be like, "I want you to have the best day ever. Don't have any bad feelings today." You know, like
super serious as it is.
And he gets millions of views. It's ridiculous. He's in the creators program, so like TikTok pays him to make videos.
Right. That's another interesting thing. I think maybe TikTok is the only platform that is outright just paying people to be there. Maybe YouTube does it and we don't really know about it, like YouTube, like partners or whatever. I'm not.
I imagine like iJustine probably makes a little bit of money from YouTube.
I feel like
Maybe.
probably.
Without question, they're calling her right now with a check.
She does show up a lot in the creator studio, videos for creators, like learning and all that kind of stuff, the resources.
I'm still waiting for my first payout.
Have you not got it? when did you cross 1,000? Oh, kind of recent, hey?
Oh, that was ages ago. I don't know anymore.
So you crossed. So for those of you, seeing as we're talking about social media, for those of you who don't know, with YouTube, in order to monetize, you need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. It took me, I got monetized, and then they introduced 4,000 watch hours, and I got my monetization taken away.
They did that to my band account.
Right. It took me another like 6 months to regain the monetization, but I went out on a limb, and I'm just like, I'm making videos.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I haven't been trying to really focus on the prospect of potentially profiting from doing this stuff between YouTube and TikTok and Instagram or whatever.
Right.
I'm just kind of doing it because, like, I see people that are out there trying to learn how to play guitar, and I'm like, okay, let me save you about 5 years of struggling with pinch harmonics. Let me save you about 5 years of having a terrible looking vibrato. Like, let's
right
talk
here.
about it.
It's right here.
This is how you do it. That guy over there that's got a book to sell, he's not going to help you. But I can help you, and I'm not trying to sell you something. Like, if you want to learn more, cool, hit me up. But I have no books.
Is Mel Bay on TikTok yet?
I'm sure Mel Bay is on TikTok, and it's probably just as poor of quality, just like everything else.
He's like, here's the hardest way possible to play this chord.
Yeah. Wrap your thumb around the backside.
Speaking of chords, did I do this right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll do songs.
Yeah, we gotta figure out how to do something here, because that'd be fun.
Sorry, wrong one.
So, what we were just talking about in terms of caring about monetization or not, that actually segues great into the next little bit, which is, what is the sole purpose for you guys in your social media thing? Of course, we all like making things. I love making things. I love making the videos that I make. I love doing all the things that I do. But there is a lot of work to it all. And personally, that is all I wish to do, is to create things. And if they can be helpful things, then that's even better. But I do seek to personally generate my livelihood from doing it all. Do you guys feel about all that? What is your purpose for social media? Because you're both quite active in social media or on the internet in general. Whoever wants to go first on that one?
Oh,
Stephen.
Damn it!
You're the man now, dog.
Because I know Miles is already ready.
Yeah. Because I'm not. All right.
I'm gonna throw you in the fire.
Thank you. I mean, it would be cool to make a bit of.
There's no wrong answer.
Well, that's cool.
We're here to talk about this because this is, I think, stuff that goes through everybody's heads.
It would be cool to make a little bit of money for the amount of time and effort that goes into something. I don't seek that as a thing. I would love it for it to be a thing and for me to get to a point where it is truly a thing, to where I am continuing to do this because of it. In response to it.
Do you not see that doing it is the path to that?
Oh, yeah, of course. Okay. I think if I made my goal to be financial, that fucks up doing it. If that makes sense. If my goal is to make money from doing this, then I'm probably not going to make money doing it, or I should just stop this and stick to the tech channel because it will go a lot faster. But I enjoy guitar stuff and music and baritones and talking to you cats, so I would much rather the reward come as a result of just consistency and effort and quality output versus me chasing the dollar, because that's kind of what life is regardless of being here. So I'm here to be enjoying myself, and if something comes of it, then awesome, but I'm not chasing it.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. I think a lot of people wrestle with that thing. Miles, do you have what's your thought on that? What is your kind of purpose for using it all? I know that it is to promote your band and whatnot, but I don't know. Speak to exactly what your motivations are, what your hopes are. If anything's uncomfortable to talk about, you don't have to talk about it. But
Oh yeah, this all makes me feel really weird. I don't want to talk about it. No, like overall, I think that being able to present what I'm doing to a larger audience on a whim is kind of nice. Because like I have ideas for things that I think other people might find helpful or interesting when it comes to guitar stuff, music theory, approaches in terms of how to think about it and things like that. So initially doing the YouTube stuff stemmed from that because it was like I was tired of seeing students playing the wrong things, just being
Right.
like, I could just teach you how to do it the right way, and
Yeah.
I could stop having these individual instances, and I could just put it in a video, reference that.
Yeah.
And as far as the financial aspect of it, it would be great if I was making money doing it, but I also realize that in order to get to a point where that is truly a potential possibility, you have to go through that phase of just kind of like throwing out like a slew of stuff on
Yeah.
a pretty consistent basis.
Mhm.
And I see people doing it on TikTok, and a lot of it kind of reminds me of the guys I see on YouTube that are kind of at that point where they're now financially dependent on their YouTube channel. So they're just kind of like putting out garbage.
Yeah.
Whether it be the commentary channels that are basically just watching videos and then talking about it, like that's stupid.
I'm
Or
glad someone else thinks that.
yeah, no, I got so fed up today because I was watching someone watching TikToks and talking
Right.
about how they thought it was gross that someone was making like food in a toilet, and I'm like, yes, that's gross. I think the collective of society thinks it's gross because if you look at the comment section under the TikTok, everyone's like, that's gross. We don't need another video talking about this video. And so I think it's
Yeah. I guess they're that's sort of a reacts video, or
I guess
maybe?
I feel like it's just an excuse to have content.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
And so if the quality is going down because of the quantity of stuff I'm putting out, then I'd
Yeah.
rather just like put out stuff when I can. And I'd rather stick to that kind of schedule anyway, because otherwise I get myself really frustrated. Like I went through a phase where I was trying to put out videos every week of like music theory stuff, really interesting visual videos. And what was happening was that I'm putting all this work into it and then no one's watching it. So I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I guess I'll stick with putting out videos when I'm ready to do them and stop having to get into arguments with my 3-year-old about how it's time for bed because I got to go and make a video about the circle of fifths.
Right.
And so when it comes to the social media stuff in general, it's really been the same sort of approach I've always taken to it. And that's just from like when I first got onto YouTube, like years ago before I started doing it like consciously. It's just like trying to connect with other people that aren't in my town, that
Yeah.
aren't in my neighborhood. And it's always nice to see someone say like, hey man, that riff was cool. You know, cool. Now I feel
Yeah.
better about my day.
Yeah.
It sucks when there's a slew of people that are like, black guys play guitar. Like that happens all too often. And I'm
Really?
like, yeah, that and someone in my comments saying like, you look like so-and-so from this band. And it's usually the singer of Seven Dust. And I'm like, no way, black guy with dreads. It's crazy. No one's ever said that before.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
And so yeah, if I can get to a point where I'm making money from it, cool. I don't really see it as ever being something as like my main source of income. I'd always see it as kind of like a passive thing.
Right. You have no
Which-
desire for to be a full-time creator of, like, even if the focal thing was music.
Oh, if the option was there for me to do that, like today, start just creating and making videos for profit, I'd do it as long as like I'm making enough money to survive.
Right.
But where I'm at right now, the amount of commitment that I can put towards the schedule that is kind of
That is
expected of me
required.
of the
Yep.
app
Mhm.
versus what I can feasibly do in my life
Mhm.
and what I can afford to do, it doesn't line up. So I still got my jobs, and I make videos usually at night
Right.
when everyone else is asleep. And so I have a direct box now, so I don't have to worry about waking anyone up.
Nice. Nice.
And
Nice.
yeah, it's still like a lot of juggling, but if I didn't have to juggle, sure. I'd
Right.
rather do that than like go to work.
I feel like things are looking up for you.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I think there is a path there. For myself, social media is sort of it's the roots or the branches of all of the primary efforts. Primary effort being like I like to make music and connect that music with an audience, and through that process connect with other people who make music that I have something in common with, because that there's a shortage of that in my life. There's lots of people in the world who make music, but there's a shortage of people who make music who are kind of interested in similar ideas, or even if they do something different, that, those things, the community aspect of that connects. Because we all know how scene-like actual scenes are. So if you're going to shows in your neighborhood, I'm not sure how it is in New Jersey, and I know that certain parts of New York, they are sceney, but within that scene, it's very open. It's kind of a confusing thing.
It's
Ve-
differing now as we transition into a new generation of people going out to shows.
Right, of course.
Like, it was interesting yesterday. I actually finally saw a comment from someone else who had the same mindset that I've had for a while, because Glassjaw just started releasing tickets for their upcoming 20th anniversary show
That's gonna be
for
awesome.
their first record, and then for Worship and Tribute.
Mhm.
What they did afterwards was that, like, maybe 2 days later, they were like, oh, all the VIP tickets are sold out, but general admission's on sale. Have at it. And everyone's like, why would you do that? Like, why do you get to present things in a way where we all think that this is the only opportunity we have to get these tickets right now? Like, that's kind of
Yeah.
a dick move.
Bit of a dick
And
move, yeah.
they did the same thing with the vinyl release they did recently, where they said, like, oh, we got 120 different color variants of this vinyl record. And they failed to mention that they don't actually have like the same amount of copies of all 120 of them. There's just like one big bulk, and
Right.
They
sold
ordered
out like
randomized vinyl.
Yeah.
yeah, and they were sold out in an hour. I happened to get a copy, but the other thing they didn't tell me was that it's not one full disc. It's like 3 rings
Right.
that come apart.
What?
So I'm like, yeah, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, just make it easier for me to like you. Make it easier. And they've done that countless times, but in the context of live performances, just from what I've heard from students over the years and what I've seen,
Yeah.
there is the constant of, oh, well, what time is your band going on? Oh, you don't know set times? The show starts at 8. Oh, okay. And the expectancy is that like everyone stays for the entirety of the show, but no one does. Everyone goes
Yeah.
to see their friend's band, then chain smokes outside for the rest of the time they're there until
Yeah.
they leave.
Yeah.
And so like that's still consistent, but the amount of people that are interested in going out to see live music is definitely
Gonna be higher
dipping
than-
down.
Oh, it's down now?
As far as local bands,
Right.
because everyone would rather save their money to go and see like a big tour, like this upcoming Fall Out Boy, Green Day, Weezer tour that's coming up. It's going to be terrible. Like, it's going to be awful. I don't know why anyone's spending money on it, but
Yeah.
they'd rather spend money on that and
Wow.
go to the big festivals, Governor's Ball, all this stuff. And then
There
when your
is going to be a
friend-
lot happening all at once. It seems.
Yeah.
It's going to be a weird time.
it's going to be sensory overload.
Yeah.
Like, even with my show that I got coming up, I've been hassling everyone that was giving me a hard time during lockdown, just being like, yeah, remember when you guys wanted me to live stream more and you wanted me to do all this stuff and you couldn't wait for live music to come back? Well, it's back and I have tickets. Buy them now. like just seriously harassing everyone.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've sold almost all the tickets, so it's working for now.
Oh yeah, you should do what Cosman's saying. You should have a going out of business sale, but like you just change the wording a little bit, and it's not going out of business sale, a going out for business sale.
There you go. It's the band breaking up show. Everything must go.
We're going out for business. But yeah, social media and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's a weird thing to navigate. A lot of people really uncomfortable using it. I think a big thing. I'd like to get your thoughts on this, Mr. Miles. Separating the artist person and the personal person. Stephen and I were kind of talking about this earlier. For me, the Bunn guy and the Bunn baritone music guy is one guy. And then Scott Suklovsky, the human being, is
Such
another
an angry last name.
guy. I know, it's Polish.
The true love language.
Yeah. But that's a different guy. And it is none of those things, he goes to work and does those things, and he enjoys that work. But they're different things, and they're separate in social media and all that kind of stuff. They're separate in their effort, separate in many, many ways. It's not that I have a social or a personality disorder or whatever. It's just like, for me, it's very important to separate those things, and they're separate in social media. And those separations really work to make everything a little bit easier in terms of how my mind wrestles with it, as well as how to sort of task myself to it all. Do you have anything like this in your process in regards to the social media or otherwise?
Well, I remember there was a band that I was in high school that was really popular. And I mean, this was before social media. So like when I would go to the mall on the weekend, or I'd like be out on a date, literally being stopped by kids that were like, dude, you were great at that show. And like, you don't want to be rude and be like, hey,
Right.
it's me time right now. But at the same time, it was getting to such a level of frequency that I'm just like unable to enjoy myself. And it literally happened on a date one time where like a bunch of people were talking to me, and the girl was like, I don't even want to be here anymore. Let's just go. Like she was just bummed out because like it ruined dinner and everything. But
Yeah.
as far as when it comes to social media and with TikTok and stuff, with YouTube, with my first channel that I had, I remember that was a deterrent for me wanting to continue posting any videos, because like I was always checking my computer, my email, and I'd have like a slew of messages that are like telling me I have comments from so-and-so, and like questions and people saying like, that's weird. Never seen a black guy play metal before, and like stuff like that. And I'm just like, yeah, you know what? I'm done posting videos.
Right.
So that was me when I was like teenager, going into like college years. And at this point now, I've realized that majority of the social commentary on the internet is kind of just like terrible people doing terrible things. So I'm like, okay, fine. Whatever.
Have you found? It seems as though you've found somewhat of a, I don't know, a community or what have you at this point.
Oh yeah. No,
Yeah,
I mean,
like there's a lot of
always
good people in your fold.
There's always been good people, and the good people are always in the fold. It's the ones that aren't in the fold that like just peek
Yeah.
in real quick to say something stupid,
Yeah, I
and
get
then
those
they
too.
like disappear into the abyss. And
Yeah.
with that in mind, I don't let it get to me anymore, because I'm like, you're not sticking around. You're not coming in here to be like,
Yeah.
I need to see more before I accept you. Like you're just coming in to say something stupid, and you're gonna go back and watch like a live stream of someone playing a video game on Twitch, because that's a thing. But at this point now, when it comes to me posting stuff, say on Instagram or on TikTok, I can figure out real quick if it's something that people really are kind of like resonating with and are liking, based on the notifications that come up on my phone. And once I see enough of them, shift my phone onto do not disturb mode. Now I just don't want to know about it. And because otherwise I get like anxious seeing all these notifications and being like, well, maybe someone said something important. No one ever does. It's like sick,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I appreciate, but I can
Yeah,
only say,
it's
like,
fine
thanks
to
a million
just
times.
live. Yeah.
And so you have to have that separation to some extent, but I also realize that I've kind of put myself in this position where I'm making myself somewhat available to people
Yeah.
by putting out
You're putting
videos
yourself out there.
demoing products. So I'm gonna get questions from people that are like, do they make this guitar in righty? I'm like, yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They do. I had someone asking me questions about the most recent video I put out on that Telecaster, asking me like about the pickups on it or something, and I'm like, I don't know. It's a guitar that came from Amazon. I don't know anything about the pickups.
Yeah.
I'm
But that's
imagining the
why I
manufacturer
demoed it.
doesn't die there.
Yeah.
Right.
So you
And,
could listen to it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole other thing. Like, you put out a video with all the information, then people ask you a slew of questions about the information you covered in the video.
We
So I'm
talked
sure
about
you
that.
know about it.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
sure you
how it
guys have never experienced that before. But
I'm totally okay with it. But
Yeah.
but I do know what you mean. It's sometimes it's a little peculiar, but it's part of the thing.
yeah, I mean, you could tell when someone has like a sincere question based on what you presented already.
Yeah.
And overall, I just kind of see it as par for the course in terms of like putting that sort of content out into the world. So if people are messaging me about guitar lessons or about guitars, oh, I want to get this sound. Does this plugin sound like this amplifier? Questions like that. Fine, I'll answer them.
Yeah.
I'll answer them when I'm able to answer them, but I'm not going to like drop everything to do so.
Do you have a schedule when you put yourself to this sort of stuff, or is it just whenever you have the time?
Well, at this point right now, Mondays for me are like a real big open day.
Right.
And I've been trying to get myself hyped up, trying to get some Bunn energy in my brain. I get up at 7:00,
Yeah.
help everyone get out the house, to go to work and whatever. And normally I would just go back to bed and take a nap till noon and be like, oh man, I could have did stuff today. But now I'm like, no, I'm going to shoot a video. What's the video going to be about? And like pacing back and forth through the basement, trying to figure out what I could talk about.
Yeah.
And just trying to figure out, like, if it's not a video, it's me trying to figure out what work I can get done with this time that I have.
Right.
Because my time is pretty limited during the week, so I might as well make use of it when I have it.
Yeah.
And so there's not like a designated schedule. I've learned at this point in my life that if I try to schedule things and have everything organized and planned out, it's not going to go according to plan.
Right.
So I just say, oh, it's quiet. I have a free moment. Let's play some guitar. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And so, like, even after this is done tonight, I'll probably work on a video that I'm going to post on TikTok.
Right.
And
A bass
as
6
far
video.
what?
A bass 6 video.
Well, maybe. I'm already getting questions from people about the Schecter from the last video I posted.
Get it up there. I saw that. More.
But like, it's just like whenever I feel like it, really.
Yeah.
Because the other sort of component to everything is that because I'm doing this stuff in combination with work and with doing the band stuff, I get sort of like burnt out on everything.
Yeah.
And so I have days where I just want to sit on the couch.
Yeah.
I
Fair.
wanna watch,
Totally
like,
fair.
I want to watch conspiracy videos on YouTube and not think, like, and
You're not like Stephen Barton, where you're like, I'm just going to take up another creative project.
well, I mean, I'm pretty inundated with projects at this point. I'm working on band merch. I'm working on merch for myself, writing songs, beating myself up about the songs that I'm writing or lack thereof.
Right.
And then making videos for TikTok and YouTube, figuring out how to use a camera because I've been using a phone for like 5 years. And, you know, it's like basically I just think about all that stuff all as like one big cluster thought. And then suddenly my body is too heavy to get off the couch.
Yeah.
And then I get bummed out because I'm like, I could be doing something right now.
I got a video that's coming out tomorrow about all of that.
Yeah.
I hope it helps.
I'm sure it will. You know, like the main thing that I've been trying to do is just really just change my mindset about things and what I'm fixating my attention on.
And always go smaller instead of bigger.
Right. I know that the format that TikTok videos are presented in is very sort of like in your face with this 9:16 ratio. And it's like flashes and static and stuff like that. And like weird automated sounds and some music in the background. So I'm trying to implement it, but at the same time, I'm not stressing about trying to fit into that same category.
Right.
Because I don't.
Right. Is there a Miles? So Miles on TikTok is Miles does music only on TikTok, or is there a Miles personal TikTok as well? Or is Miles even a person who browses TikTok?
Am I even a person? Am I really here? Well, no, like, I mean,
It's social
TikTok.
media in general. Do you separate yourself in terms of personal profiles and your persona as an artist?
I've really only done some sort of separation in that capacity with Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, just because, you know, with my personal Instagram, it doesn't really coincide with the music stuff.
Right.
Unless it's like a picture of my daughter, like playing a ukulele. Like, cool.
Right.
That's cute. People will like that. Go for it.
Yeah.
But if it's a slow motion video of me trying to do a bunny hop on my new bike, like, I don't think that's going to be fitting for Miles Does Music, you know?
Yeah.
And same thing with YouTube, where my list of people that I follow on my YouTube channel, it's like music oriented stuff, and it's channels that I like. So if you go and look through that stuff, you can say like, oh, let me check these people out. As far as my personal one, oh, it's everywhere.
It's random.
All
Yeah.
over the place.
Mine as well.
And so like with TikTok, the only separation I really have is like there's the Miles Does Music, and then there's like my Our Fears one.
Right.
And that one is somewhat dormant for the most part. Like I post things on there periodically.
Yeah.
But it's not to the same frequency as what I'm doing with mine.
Right.
And yeah. So the
So
separation, it's not really there. It's there, but it's not.
Right.
Just because like I know that I'm gonna have a day where I come into work and I have like a new student that recognized me from TikTok. Because that happened with YouTube already, where a student was like, I saw your Billie Eilish video, and I'm like, oh, yes, that was me. Yes.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I get a little bit of a buzz out of public sightings.
Oh, I get totally psyched. I'm like, why?
like,
yes,
whoa.
that is me.
Yeah. It happens more frequently than I ever thought it would, and I'm not a very big creator. You know, it's like.
But what you're making, the stuff that you're posting out into the world, it's substantial. Like it has gravity to it. It's got substance. It's not just another mukbang video of someone talking about like I don't know, whatever pop culture stuff. Have you seen mukbang videos? Those are terrible.
I don't know what that is.
It's like people talking about, so it's a term that comes from Asian culture. I don't know the exact origin of it, but basically it's like you get a whole bunch of food,
Yeah.
and you just consume all of it while you're talking about like, I don't know, whatever pop culture stuff, like whatever TV show just had a season premiere and what you thought of the opening episode. It's wild and disgusting. You're going to find yourself finding videos from people like Trisha Paytas and stuff like that. And she's like the human embodiment of a dumpster on fire. So, yeah. That's the
This
kind
is
of
new
stuff
to
that
me. It's funny. I
fall
don't.
into the abyss on.
It sounds like daytime television, internet edition.
But that's the thing. Like what you're posting up online, it's not fitting into that category, and so it's unique.
Well, I think that's the case for all of us.
Yeah.
This is potty time,
Potty time.
for me.
Right
Pa-
time.
My Stephen likes to party all the time, party all the time, party all the time. My Steve likes to. You like that? I like it. But Miles, we're going to grab a few comments here.
Sure.
A few folks here. We went deep on that one, and it was tasty. And we'll start with Apoplexia. How are you, Apoplexia? Good to see you. And he's saying, so separating yourself from your public persona, is it to create a sort of barrier for your emotions? Like if someone is being a dick on your socials, it affects you less. I need to make this bigger. Can I make it bigger? Oh yeah, that's way better.
I mean, I get what's being asked. Like,
I would
yes,
say there is definitely some of that going on for me.
yeah, you have to have a separation.
Yeah.
Because you're going to drive yourself nuts and you're going to lose all interest in continuing to make content to put out into the world.
Yeah.
If it's like this sort of like burden on your life.
Yeah.
At least that's how I feel. Cause like when I was in a position where I was basically working in the same place that I was playing at, like I was working the door at the bar that I was playing at all the time. So like I had this sort of weird situation where people were coming to me and asking me about music stuff and just like being really complimentary. But then I was also like fighting drunk people that were like, I know you. And so having a division in between is definitely helpful in at least this context. Like it's already indirect because it's on the internet, but it can be a little jarring running into someone that knows you from the internet in real life, especially if you don't know them.
It is, it's been happening quite a bit the last little bit. There's a really big park near where I live, and sometimes I'll like vlog through that park, or I'll just link up with some friends because we can link up and hang out and drink coffees in the park, and it's all good. And it's happened a couple times, and it's always in such a friendly way that I'm like, oh, it's someone I don't know.
Right.
You think it seems like a friend, and I think people will address you in such a way because perhaps it's familiar, it's very familiar on that side. And then I'm like, it's
I'm
difficult.
trying to remember the term that everyone uses for it. It's like interpersonal relationship or something like that, where like one person is under the impression that they have a closer relationship with you than is actually perceived just because of who they picture you as on the internet.
Right.
Like it's interesting for me because I am horrified at the idea of like walking outside and taking video of myself talking just because like my neighbors know me, but they don't.
Yeah. I did that. Like I started a video series last summer and I just rebooted it again. It comes out tomorrow, but I did it specifically for that reason, because I was horrified of it, because I know that exposure, like in this whole artist game and putting yourself out there and not hiding behind a band, but hiding behind a persona, the Bunn, that is the business, that is the persona, that is the thing. And then Scott is the guy who works that business or does that art or whatever.
Right.
But that was another thing to kind of get comfortable with really putting yourself out there. I don't know if you guys are familiar with, there are sort of social exercises that some people will do. They'll have like a coach, to get over their anxieties or whatever. And some of the exercises, I can't remember what the name of this stuff is, but they'll have people go to a popular coffee shop, let's say, and everybody's waiting in line to get their coffee. And they'll be like, okay, now lay down in the middle of line, lay down on the floor, and start humming your favorite song or whatever, something like that.
See, I could do that just fine. Like, I have no problem with looking like a moron in public. It's the idea of walking with the camera and talking, but like not focusing on potentially my neighbors looking at me while I'm doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I do it.
It's so stupid that I get hung up on that.
I do it no problem, but I got to tell you, I know exactly what you're talking about. Stephen, you've done quite a bit of stuff out in public, but usually do it in your car. I still think even doing it that way, there was like a little bit of a leap that you maybe had to take to feel okay with it. It probably felt super weird when you first started doing it.
Yeah. It was cool when like I was doing it like in Taco Bell parking lots, and then people would like walk up and then be like, "Are you all right?" And I'd have to be like, yeah, guess I'm editing this later.
I thought it was going to be a one take. Oh, a little beast.
What's up, cat?
But these sorts of things, I think, are like if any of you guys are going to get into the video, not to say that you need to get into the video side of things, but the big benefit of it is it just makes being a communicator in a situation where, let's say, you're playing a show. So all three of us, we've played a lot of shows. And I'm sure you can all speak to this. For me, normal operating procedure is go to do the load in, find the promoter, find the sound guy, sound person, and be like, what's up? What's going on? Hello, my name is, how are you? All that kind of stuff. Try and make it personable, try and make it comfortable between all parties so that things can go smoothly and in an organized fashion. Most bands are very uncomfortable doing any of that stuff, I've noticed in my life. And I've toured all over North America. And locally, I've seen the same bands play the same venues over and over again and still be awkward every single time. I'm like, these sorts of things are very good exposure to awkward situations of communication. Very, very good in terms of taking care of this stuff. Stephen, I wonder, we're going to start with you in terms of that sort of stuff. Do you feel like any of this stuff has been a benefit? Being a being an internet musician and putting yourself out there in this way,
Mm-hmm.
Has it been of any benefit to you in your personal life that way, intercommunicationally? And do you see a benefit for these other things professionally as a musician?
I've never been shy about talking.
Right.
The people that I've always been shy about talking to for some silly reason is other bands that I don't know. I'm fine to go talk to the promoter because they already know I'm coming. They kind of have an interaction with me already. Right. Like, but it's the other guys that are like the other four dudes that are on the other side of the room that you don't know that are in a band, and you're like, "Hey, are you in that thing?" Okay. I'm like, I think.
What is that all about?
Yeah, I don't
know. Too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're probably all guilty of being those guys at some point. I'm not anymore, but I definitely was at some point.
I've literally overheard someone in another band saying that they thought we were arrogant because we didn't come say hi. And I was like, do you not know how like creative people work? We're all fucked up. Like, it's not like it has.
And they had the same opportunity to come say hi.
Yes. With everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you could have walked up and said, "Hey, I'm so-and-so from, what's your fuck?" But
clearly they are dicks.
You decided to stand there and call me a dickhead and say it loud enough that I could hear you. So now I have to be like, "Oh, hey,
hi.
I know you just said something shitty about me, but let's hang out now. We're going to be here the rest of the fucking night together, but you were an asshole at a distance.
Yeah.
So now we're friends."
Yeah.
I have been the person who's sat there and said nothing. I've never been like, "Fuck that guy." But like, there is no shortage of that, for sure. But yeah, I've never had any problem talking to like, this is easy for me. I mean, because you're not here.
Yeah.
Like, and there's I'm not saying you specifically. I'm saying with like making videos, I can
Right.
sit here and fuck up over and over again. I can edit it out. I can
Right.
make completely different versions of what I started out doing.
Yeah.
And there's no one there to be like, I saw you when you burped and you had to cut it out. Like, yeah, there's none of that. But like in person, if I'm talking to you, that's a different interaction because I'm not uncomfortable. Like, I'm uncomfortable with myself, don't get me wrong, but like,
Right.
I'm not like uncomfortable with who I'm presenting myself as enough to be like, oh, well, I'm just going to sit here and judge myself. If that was the case, I wouldn't do videos at all.
Right.
But
it's a really big
yeah.
hurdle for a lot of people.
I've always been in a position where I'm kind of forced to just do things that I don't want to do in instances like that. So like even with my band, for example, I didn't want to sing. I don't want to sing ever. But I worked with other singers for the longest time that I couldn't convey what I wanted them to do with my songs and have it come out accurately, or they just were like, well, I'm just gonna do it my way. And so I finally just got frustrated and I was like, all right, I guess I gotta learn how to sing now. But like the same thing with just interactions at shows, because again, I've always notoriously been in bands where everyone else in the band is like, oh, hey,
Yeah.
you know, head down, staring at their lap or at their phone. And I'm like, okay, don't worry, guys. I'll go find out how much we're getting paid. I got it. Don't worry. I'll find out they have a drum kit that you can use. Let me find out. And, I mean, because like that was the other thing. You always got to make sure that you're friends with the other guys and the other bands, because you never know if you're going to open up your guitar case and the headstock's broken off your SG, or if you have a broken string and you just happen to be a lefty playing a show with another lefty guitar player, you know, and he's willing to let you borrow his guitar. Like that happened to me a couple times. But yeah, so like it makes me feel uncomfortable. It made me feel uncomfortable being a door guy at a bar, but it was like, okay,
I know that.
Guess I'm fighting someone now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was also a door guy. Steven, were you ever a door guy?
I was a bartender, and it had its own aspect of that occasionally. On like Wednesdays when there was no door guy, and someone's like, "Fuck you, buddy."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me all your PBR, you piece of shit.
What do you mean you're cutting me off?
I would say that the door guy job, as well as like counter coffee type jobs, retail type jobs, have been really, really positive experiences for me in terms of this whole exposure thing and being able to take care of all of that. And I think like what all of this gets to is that whole thing of exposure. Like the beautiful thing about doing all this video stuff and having the internet is it's a platform where you can just kind of put yourself to it and expose yourself to these awkward situations, which I think in the end, they become not awkward pretty quick and are massively beneficial to your your communication abilities as an artist and in everything else. So have you found, Miles, in terms of your own personal life, in terms of doing all this video and putting yourself out there more so with the band and also online, that it has made you a better communicator, kind of a little bit more fearless in all those ways?
I mean, I'm less critical about like worrying about messing up something at this point. Like if you think about the first time you went out and played a show, you were probably like really nervous that you didn't want to mess up, you didn't want to play any of the wrong notes or anything like that. And
when in fact you almost always do, at least
once. Exactly. And then like you might after the show beat yourself up about it, but like you're gonna mess up at the next show too. And it's fine, it's whatever. I just kind of have disconnected myself from worrying about those things.
Mm-hmm.
And I was speaking to a former student about it yesterday, where it's like, you can get caught up in the idea of like, you don't have any friends, you don't know how to go and talk to anyone about starting a band. Yes, I get it. It's weird. You're talking to a bunch of people and you're like, hey, you don't know what I have to offer you in any sort of way, but I think you should come by my house and hang out for like a couple hours, and then
Yeah.
we should like write a song.
Yeah.
Hope that's not weird. Like,
That's
you know,
exactly how my band life started exactly like that.
that's exactly what it is. But
Yeah.
like, if you're scared to do that first step, that's okay, but you're not going to get any further without
Yeah.
taking that first step. So either you get caught up in being scared about it, or you just say, all right, I'm going to look stupid. Fine. Like, I used to tell my students about how, like, when I wake up in the morning, I don't even look in the mirror. Like, whatever happens today happens. Like, I'm just going. I'm not worried about
Well, when you look that model like
Oh, get out of here. Get on out of here.
that cover of the magazine.
I'm just waiting to get a bill, like, from the compliment company that you work for. But no, like, it just got to a point with everything overall, whether it been like scheduling shows, contacting companies about doing product demos on my channel, like talking to other creators on social media platforms and being like, hey, can you just tell me how you get people to see your stuff? Like, because I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, pretty much the way that you and I linked up, Scott, it was like me just leaving comments being like, your stuff is sick, you know, and you happen to respond to it. And I'm like, ooh, okay, I'll keep talking, you know, and so it developed from there. But you know, you gotta do something initially,
Right.
in order to get the ball rolling. And it's interesting to see where the younger generation is with that sort of thing now, because like they are sort of like separated in a more severe capacity compared to where we are coming from in our
Do you
age
think
range.
that maybe, like Stephen, you have a child as well, and I'm not sure if you have exposure to other much more youth-oriented people, but do you see something like this as well? It seems as though younger people see much more of a barrier because of all the social media stardom and all of this sort of stuff. Like that.
Well, let me get this moth first, and then we'll figure it out.
That's
Red,
what you're up
is it a
about.
red moth?
Preach.
It will be when I'm done with it. My kid tells me she wants to be a YouTuber all the time, and I'm like, all right, go for it. Like, whatever. What's that? What you call it? Ryan's toy review thing. That kid
Man.
makes, him and his parents make like, $3-4 million a year from him just running around his house playing. So
Got to show on Nickelodeon now, or Nick Jr.
right, and Target makes toys for him and stuff. So I don't know. I grew up around people that were kind of defeatist too. Like, you can do this thing, but also have a backup plan. The problem with a backup plan is that you start to put time into it, which admittedly I did when I was younger. And
Yep.
then you give up on doing the thing that you want to be doing, because now you're like, well, I have to put 40 hours a week into this job in case the thing I want to do falls apart. Versus just being like, I'm 18. If shit falls apart, I'm good. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna bounce back.
I'm going to
Yeah.
be 50. And
Right.
if it falls apart, I got to pretend I'm 18.
I'm in it now, and like I talked to my wife was a professional musician for 25 years and still plays music, but like she got out of it for a while. But her whole she's still that way about everything. Even like she has a great job and stuff now, but
Yeah.
she's still of the frame of thinking like, should opportunity arise, fuck this job, like and I'm
Yeah.
like, I
Yeah.
kind of want to feel that way. Like, I have responsibilities. She's like, yeah, but if you're already doing what you're doing. Like, COVID has been a prime example of how surviving works for a
Yeah.
lot of creative people, if not just people in general. But for me, I worked remote most of my career for the past few years, and that went away. Then I was traveling for a while and running sound and lighting for a traveling talent show, which was awful. And that fell under from the whole thing. So I was just like, had the safe, cushy job, went to the traveling shitty job that was still safe, to nothing and no opportunity for over a year, but I still like managed to find ways to make money, mostly through creativity. I started selling commissioned artwork and stuff again, and doing more of this stuff, and trying to get more into recording people again, and it seemed to have all worked out. Like there was some help from the government. There was also some getting completely fucked over by the government while this was happening, but I managed to get through it, and not other than occasional money stressors. Like, I still took care of the things that needed to be taken care of. I didn't have a lot of money for extra shit, but I was able to kind of get by. And there were some low points where I was like having to sell shit I didn't want to sell, but like there's also been points at which like I actually managed to do okay, and like I hustled with like DoorDash and shit for a while. Like I think it just proved to me that none of that really matters if you can find a way to balance it all out. So
Yeah.
And the other
kind
thing
of goes
is like,
back to the thing we were talking about earlier, and sort of what you're describing is sort of where I'm at with it all.
Yeah.
And,
the thing about
and I think you can make it work. I think both of
absolutely.
you can make it work.
You're probably right. I feel like anything like with a job, like I had a job that was paying me incredibly well. I didn't have to leave my house, and then it ended. So that's the thing, and it had nothing to do with me. The company got purchased and everyone got laid off.
Right.
So there's no guarantee on any of it, no matter how stable it is. So yeah. I don't know.
I've seen that happen a lot, and I think it's been very much the trend in the United States. We've seen it so much there with all the manufacturing. When all of that left, people are like, played it safe, got the good job, and all that kind of stuff. And not saying that you shouldn't do those things. I'm not saying everybody go quit what you're doing, but following what you're saying, Stephen, just recently about. Making it the thing, make the backup plan. There is no backup plan because the backup plan becomes the plan.
It has to have focus. It has to have input.
Yeah.
And if you're sacrificing one thing for another, so
yeah. Not to say to be irresponsible or whatever.
Fuck it.
Spend all
Burn
your money
burn it
on
all.
music gear, get an account on Reverb, buy everything you see. And if you have family, friends, just discard them because music can be famous, bro.
What's amazing now is you really don't need very much to make music. I don't know if you guys follow Kian. Kian is a South African kid. He plays djenty kind of music.
Okay.
And he's doing pretty well on YouTube. And I think it was sort of a surprise to him, like how it started rising. He's good though. Like his videos are good. His content is very helpful and all that kind of stuff, especially to that crowd who likes that sound. And he did a video, I think it came out today, but it was about everything free. Like everything, all free plugins with a $250 Ibanez guitar, brand new, $250. And he's like, just kind of trying to prove the point. He's a great player. He knows what he's doing. Those two things are incredibly valuable in the whole equation of everything working. But it still proves the point. Yeah, you don't need to spend a ton of money to do great things anymore. But you do have to put in, you got to show up a lot.
Well, that's what I try to really convey to the students that I have that show interest in wanting to do music stuff. It's like, if you want to pursue like starting a band, doing music oriented content creation online, just do it. Like you don't need to worry about like, I got to get this camera, I got to get this lens, I got to get this. Like, no, you have your phone, so use that. And if anything, make a list of things that you want to do so that you have some sort of like visual of the objectives that you're trying to achieve. And don't get caught up in all the other stuff, because like I was in an interesting situation myself where I'm in high school and everyone's like, what are you going to do with your life? And I'm like, I don't know, get a job. Like, how are you going to get a job without a college degree? And I'm like, I don't know, apply. And so I went to school for 4 years and it was great. It was informative and the experience itself was really great. I met a lot of really cool people. but I've also accumulated a lifetime's worth of student loan debt. And, that diploma for my music degree doesn't really go for much on eBay, so I can't even sell it. So it makes me wonder if I could have utilized my time in a different manner, especially when I get jobs like when I was working for Paramount as an electrician. Like, I was making stupid money.
Yeah.
And most of that job, I was just standing. I'm like, I could do this.
Yeah.
I could do this all day, every day.
Union.
Yeah. The thing is that, like, getting into that union, unless you're related to someone, it takes a very, very long time. And it's a lot of testing. And just like at the time, I didn't have the time to commit to that. But going back to the music stuff, even when I was younger, the other sort of limitation I had was that, like, my parents would say, like, no, you can't go there. You can't. No, you're going to go on tour there. Because I had the opportunity to go out on tour with a band that I was playing with. They were supposed to go on tour Haiti. And I was like, Mom, I'm going to Haiti. She's like, how? You're not going to Haiti. I'm like, God. So I missed out on going to Haiti. I missed out on an opportunity to go tour Russia. And so I finally just got fed up and I started booking tours on my own. I remember moving my amp and pedal board and stuff towards the front door of my parents' apartment. And my mom seeing me like shuffle all the stuff towards the door. And she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm leaving. I'm going out. I'll be gone. I'll be back in like 2 weeks. She's like, where are you going? I'm like, well, the first stop's in West Virginia. And then after that, we're going to Gainesville. And she's like, who are you going? I'm like, Mom, bye. I gotta go. And I mean, granted, that was at a time where, like, you could book a tour on MySpace and not show up to the show and get murdered by like a dude in a van with no windows.
Yeah.
But it's all about just taking the initial first steps, and
that
you have to have that
scenario
commitment,
is
dedicate to it. Yeah.
It can take you so far, especially if you keep following through with it. Like if you do it in an entrepreneurial way.
And you can even see it on TikTok. There's lots of guys that really aren't that funny. They're not that talented, but because they're committing this time to not only putting out videos on the regular, but also just analyzing what everyone is tagging their videos with so that they can sort of like take advantage of the search engine as far as like the whole SEO stuff. But like, they're doing it in a way where they're manipulating the system to their benefit, and it's working out because they're committing the time to it.
Yeah, and
is it good?
The fact that they're committed,
so,
but they will get better, and
maybe.
And it doesn't have to be good to you. It doesn't have to be good to me, but if it's good to enough people, that's all you need.
Well, no, I mean like good in the sense of like they're putting out music education stuff that's inaccurate. And then like
everybody
me and my other
that.
like music nerd buddies are like, actually, and have to do a duet correcting them.
Yeah.
But
it's
even that, I'm like, whatever.
There's a lot of bad music theory stuff out there. I was taught did I ever share this with you with the whole ABCDEFG thing? They're like, oh,
in terms of like A1 and all that stuff.
No, just like that it's ABCDEFG. Those are all the notes. You don't have to remember anything there's nothing complicated to it. There's sharps and flats, different story, but like, it's still not complicated, but it was taught to me as FACE, face, and every good boy deserves fudge.
Ugh, yes, I
and
remember those.
For the longest time, I thought there were two scales that were related somehow, and that's how it was pitched to me. And I was like, huh?
I learned the same way as a cello player, so that didn't help me at all.
No, I'm like, it's just in
cello
order. The notes are in order. I don't understand this shortcut. And teaching kids these kinds of things right off the hop. I'm like, if your brain is broken and you need that kind of a shortcut, have at it. But don't.
What, you mean you don't learn well with acronyms?
Well,
everything,
especially when you don't need them, and it's just A to fucking G.
I agree with you, Bunn's pissed. No,
Positive,
I did the
good.
same shit. Everybody they'd tell me like different versions of like weird acronyms or like the whole. I remember when somebody was talking to me about Gad Dad I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Can you just like it's a different guitar tuning? Yeah, I get it. And then they'd be like, well, Keith Richards is like, what the fuck does that have to do with it? Tell me what it is.
Right.
You just saying things isn't helping me. Like, point it out to me. Explain why that's a thing.
Well, I was telling a student recently about how I had this like, well, it was actually two sort of like revelations recently after years of being in school for music and somehow just not making this connection or just not being informed about certain things. So like for one, I found out the hard way that you have to turn off phantom power before you unplug a condenser mic. Somehow I went to a school and majored in production and composition. Never knew about that.
Yeah.
But
New mics
additionally-
have a circuit protect on them, but yeah, you could fry an old Neumann that way.
yeah, didn't know. So I don't know how many mics I've broken, but as far as like the theory stuff, my biggest thing was interpreting intervals beyond the 7th.
Right.
Because it was explained to me just like, oh,
Like-
well,
Like
it's
9,
the
10,
9th.
12, like the extent, the next
Yeah,
octave.
and I had all these questions. I'm like, where's the 10th? How come there's not a 12th? Where are all these numbers? Are we just making stuff up?
Yeah.
Like, what's a 13 chord? What are we talking about?
Yeah.
But then the connection like popped into my head one day while I was in an Uber on my way to work.
And you're like,
I'm
it's just straight counting. There's
Yeah, I was
nothing
like-
special to it.
oh, it's a 7 chord with a 6 in there. 6 plus 7. Oh, like,
Yeah.
and no one ever explained it to me that way. And I'm just like, that's all I needed. That's all I needed.
It's all really straight, man. And that
Like,
was
I don't need to be entertained to learn. Like,
Yeah.
you just need to kind of lay things out to me.
yeah.
Exactly.
And especially if it's something that like I'm looking to use. Like if I ask you like, how do I do that thing that Jimi Hendrix is doing in that song? And then you say, oh, he's playing the root and the minor third. So it's kind of a power chord, but it's really the root and the third. So it's minor. And I say, oh, and then I go from there.
Yeah.
Done.
How to
never
make any
understood,
chord
like,
minor.
why-
Flat the third.
right?
Yeah. Right.
Why do people not explain things in the most simple terms? I don't understand. Like, let's artsy this shit up. It just makes me feel like what's your IQ and why are we talking?
I think what
Well-
happens is that a lot of people don't see the big system. And what's interesting about a thing like music is the big system isn't very complicated. There's not very much to it. It's 7 notes, 12 tones. Like, there's not a lot to concern yourself with, but a lot of people wrestle with it because they learn in these weird ways and they have these fragmented perceptions of it. And I'm like, if you can just take a minute and get to know the whole thing, then seeing all these terms flying around like modes and all this kind of stuff, it gets really, really easy. But a lot of people just didn't do that. So they know this little sliver and this little sliver and all of these weird hacks to put it all together. And I'm like, oh, if you could just see the whole system, you'd realize you don't need a hack at all because it's really
Right.
simple.
I think it stems from this idea. Well, I think it's like a cultural thing, really, with American culture, where like everyone is kind of inundated with these sort of like sensory activities of like social media videos and stuff like that. And so to present music in a way that is going to be captivating for someone to stay focused on it, it's trying to make it entertaining. But there's also the sort of like capitalist approach of like making music marketed as like everyone can play music. And,
Right.
you know, to a degree, yes. But I remember having all these instances of teaching kids where the parents would be like, oh, I got this app called Musician. And, you know, maybe you can use this for my son's lesson. I'm like, this isn't Disney sing-along songs. Like either he follows the notes that are on the paper that I wrote down,
Yeah.
or he doesn't, and you can stop wasting your money on guitar lessons.
Yeah.
It's nothing personal against your kid. He just doesn't want to play guitar. It's okay.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, while we're on this topic, I occasionally do lessons. I have 2 students, but I know you're doing that on a grander scale. I've had a few younger students, particularly
sorry
like
to hear
two. Yeah, it's rough. Actually, I will be honest. The older students are worse. The people that are older than me that are just starting guitar, they're way worse because they get mad because they feel like they should already know more than you.
Right.
So there's that. But the thing I'll have is like I had a guy that I was like going to teach a buddy of mine's kid how to play guitar. And I was doing the basic stuff. We're learning the scales, we're learning the chords, how they work together. And then he was like, I could tell he didn't give a shit, for lack of a better term. Like,
Yep.
he seemed bored. And I was like,
Yeah.
I want to try to find a way to make this interesting. So I was like, can you like tell me types of bands you're interested in? Like, what is it that you like so I can try to draw a connection? And then I tried that. Still nothing. He just doesn't want to play guitar is what I'm getting out of this. Like, that's not what he wants to do.
Yeah.
But then his dad and mom would pull me aside like, he's just not learning any songs. Like, he can't play the chords.
Want to.
Yeah, he doesn't care enough to memorize the thing I told him the last time. So how can I take this information that would ultimately lead to him learning how to play these songs? But what would happen is I found out what was killing his interest, and this is a tangent, but they were pressuring him to be like, show me what you learned today.
Oh, that's
And-
not great.
Yeah, and he'd be like, oh, well, I learned the scale thing. And they're like, oh, you didn't learn how to play, Bob Dylan or something today? You didn't learn how to
That's
play this
it?
song? Yeah, and he's like, no. But then it was also his lack of interest, plus his parents being like, I don't feel like you're getting enough out of this because you're not a genius already. Like,
Yes, Stacy, I do. And no, you don't suck. Stacy's one of my students, and she's
Oh, no
way
way.
too critical of herself.
Thanks,
And
Stacey.
she's doing great, actually. No, like when I worked at my old job, there were all these instances of parents kind of like forcing their kid to take up an activity. So they're like, you listen to music, you have headphones, right? Yeah, you want to learn how to play guitar. And it's like, no, probably not. And even for me, when I got my first guitar, I was like 6. I took it out of the case, full-size acoustic, strummed the strings, tried to play a note on the neck, hurt my fingers. I said, okay, back to my bike, and left the guitar alone for like
We have a
2
very
years.
similar. We have
Yeah.
such a similar story, you and I.
But the thing about us is that there's something that within us gravitates towards wanting to create music.
hmm
And you find the outlets that are going to be most functional for you to do so. And you can see that with the students that really have a drive for it.
Yeah.
Like I had 2 real young students years ago. One came in with like big head of like tasseled blonde hair and a sleeveless t-shirt and these like plaid pants and like little Randy Rhodes. And I'm like, okay, you're ready. Let's do this.
Yeah.
And those are the kids that you show them something simple, like just a quick triplet run through the pentatonic scale, and they say, whoa, what was that? What
when
was
they
that?
get
you
excited.
did?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I shouldn't have to try to sell someone
No.
music education. And when a kid is not interested and they're just like, even though I'm trying everything, I'm like, oh, do you like Weezer? How about their new album? 2 hand tapping, and they're like, eh.
Yeah.
Or they claim to not listen to anything, which could be true. I don't know. All
Well,
the
if-
music my son listens to is from Sonic, or it's like remixes of Sonic stuff.
Right.
So I had to learn like the Green Emerald theme song just to get him to be like, oh, that's cool, Dad. And then like back to playing Minecraft or whatever. He was like, I'm over it already.
Yeah.
Has he
but-
found Gary Trevino yet? That's his whole channel.
Probably. He wanted to start a channel doing like Minecraft videos a while back, and I made him a header for it and stuff, and he realized that it took like work to do it. He was like, nah, forget it. But
Gary Trevino's whole thing is like just playing Sonic. He just does metal covers of Sonic stuff.
yeah,
It's his whole channel.
Yeah.
I've shown him so much stuff, and he's like, eh. But it was interesting with him because my family kind of did a sort of indirect version of what you had going on with your student, where everyone that knows me is like, oh, well, Miles has a son. He's got a son who's got a birthday coming up. Therefore, we better get him a guitar. Oh, he better get a harmonica for his birthday. We better get him a drum set. So now my son has 3 guitars, a drum set, and a harmonica that are coated in dust in his
Right.
room.
He's just not into it.
Not into it at all.
Yeah.
This is my daughter's guitar. My mother bought her.
Nice.
It
Sick.
is literally in a closet on the other side of this room. She doesn't care about it at all. Because
her a
I care
baritone.
about it. Mostly because I play guitar. She's like, you already do it. You're fine. You don't need help. Bye. like
You got to get a baritone conversion neck for it. Then she'll be
I gotta do something pretty cool. She was like, I would like to play songs, but also like, have you seen what I'm doing on Animal Crossing? Because it's that shit.
Have you seen
Like,
my
no.
garden in Animal Crossing?
Right. I'm like, you're right. You've really done something special there.
It's tough, but
It's got to be a weird time for kids, you know, with
it is just in general because the interest level and the exposure of what's being presented, it's basically sculpting their entire existence and how they go about things, whether it be interacting with other kids and trying to do musical endeavors of any sort,
right.
or just getting into music. Like there's just so much stuff compared to when it was like when we were kids.
Yeah, because of the internet, there's been this huge music explosion and this huge wave of very young people or people of every possible type and background and all these sorts of things that just weren't very prevalent in the landscape prior just explode and they're all amazing. You know, they can
Right.
all play every popular cover that you've ever heard, or they can all play two-hand,
Oh yeah,
eight finger
there's something that
taps.
bums me out when I go on Instagram.
Or
I see like a
they can
4-year-old
s-
killing
yeah.
it on guitar.
4-year-old sweeping, you know,
Yeah,
on 8-string
smiling
guitars.
at the camera while playing like Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, just like
Yeah. So it is very kind of like, there's already a ton of people who are incredible. What's the possibility for me? Because people
Right.
kind of take the sort of social pressure of it sometimes
still have
too
that.
much to heart. Yeah. It's weird. I definitely, so, you know, bringing that back into this social media type of thing. I'm super like, not social media, just internet in general. We're all on the internet as these musicians and doing this stuff. Everybody that's in the comments here or in the chat, they're either doing that as well or thinking about getting into it. There's reservations. Something that I do, I'm very protective of my internet exposure, what I expose myself to. So I follow you guys. I follow my pals, my internet pals. And I keep up with what's going on with that stuff. But otherwise, I generally don't watch music channels or other channels that are doing my thing. And part of the reasoning is this thing that we're talking about. That sort of social pressure, that sort of like stuff
bit
can
of a
easily
feedback
bum
loop
you
as
out.
well.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, wow, I suck or whatever. Like,
That's how I felt the other night when I was watching Nick's live stream, because his production is exponentially better than anything I've ever done.
it's
I
tight.
kind of wanted to just like push my computer into a river. It's like, damn, those guitars sound fat.
They sound done.
And just the video production in general between all of you guys, I'm just like, damn.
You're right there, Mr. Miles. But yeah,
I'm right here, but everything I put out, I'm like, meh. It looks like an Etch-a-Sketch.
1% different every day. Don't even think of it as better, but just different in the direction that is interesting to you. That's it. That's all you need to shoot for.
Well, yeah,
Get
I've always tried
jellyfish.
to look at
Get,
it as just
get
like
jellyfish.
Jellyfish.
get jellyfish,
Yes.
Yeah, that's what you need.
On a screen, digital.
BRB.
But I'm curious, you guys, do you sort of protect your exposure that way in terms of what is influencing you? Also, for me, I don't want to really be influenced in terms of what kinds of videos I'm making or what kinds of music I'm making. So I'm very particular about those things. so that I just stay on track?
I mean, I look at a couple different channels as far as the videos that they're presenting, in terms of just how they're presenting what they have. So like, I try to take note of certain like little visual cues and stuff like that. Like I see with your videos, you have the stop where it's like, just taking a moment to thank everyone at Patreon that helps support these videos and makes everything possible here. And like, that's a really useful sort of approach to take. I also notice what people tend to gravitate towards in terms of like color schemes and stuff like that. Like with Josh's videos for JHS, it's very white. It's very
bright. Yeah.
and sort of
A lot of
Very
pastel,
friendly.
Yeah.
yeah. Even though he sounds like he just woke up from a coma, like every time he talks.
I love the contrast.
Yeah. He's like, on today's episode, we're going to be talking about why solid state sucks.
I love
Pearl
that
Jam.
video. Oh,
Here
so
we go.
good.
You know? But even like the way that Fluff presents what he's got going on, I've watched sort of the evolution of it. Like he's been making a real implementation of the sort of VHS static in terms of transitions on the Q&A videos and just the aesthetic of the opening thing. And I also noticed that he has a different opening theme depending on what he's doing for his videos. It'll be in a different key. So it's stuff like that that I watch it and I see it and I hear it and I think, like, does that make a difference? Is that some sort of indicator for other people? Same thing with the text to speech on TikTok, because to me it's like, I can hear the video fine. I know what's going on. I don't need this. Or the visually impaired people that are using TikTok, which apparently that's a thing.
Yeah.
And so I try to take it in terms of like just being aware of what is sort of like the norm and the trend
Right.
in terms of how people are presenting what they're presenting.
You
But-
definitely have a healthy amount of study.
Yeah, I try.
It's really
For
good.
someone as oblivious as I am, I try to be aware of what's going on with that stuff.
You got to cut that out.
I kind of want to do like the Tim Henson thing and get some plants to put behind my monitors just to make my studio a little bit more homely.
Oh, I would love a green studio. That would be amazing. I just don't
couldn't
want
do it.
I don't want to water the plants.
I just can't stand nature. I can't stand.
Really? Cut the
I
trees
like-
down.
Yeah. Oh, if I could, I would pave over all the grass, cut down all the trees. I'd have a skate park for a driveway and a lawn. Like, that's it.
Well, yeah. If it
Done.
was my own yard, yeah, a skate park yard. Imagine.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ah.
Concrete everywhere.
amazing.
I have the worst allergies come springtime,
Right.
which does wonders for me trying to record vocals. So that
Right.
just sound like Louis Armstrong and everything.
Right.
But yeah, like I try to be aware of what's going on,
but
but
also
not
a little bit of a
allow
barrier.
myself to imitate it.
Right.
So like there's certain attributes that I'm like, okay, so everyone's doing a certain runtime with their videos for one reason or another. If it's a long video, it's probably because they're going for like a long format. They're doing a lot of detailed stuff, but you don't want to go too long. And if you are going to go too long, then you want to have your video broken up into chapters, whether having the timestamp on the screen or you want to have like the actual clips in the timeline on YouTube. And the same thing with TikTok, because like, yeah, I could do 3-minute videos, but is anyone going to watch 3 minutes? I don't know if I could sit through a 3-minute long TikTok. It has to be something real good.
Right.
So
Would
it's
you?
a lot of just kind of trying to like figure things out in that regard,
Right.
see what's successful and what's not.
You're using lots of examples in terms of videos and whatnot. Is there a similar kind of process for you? Also, Stephen, this all applies to you as well. But in terms of music, would you say it's a similar process for you with the music stuff, or you're kind of already locked into that because you've been doing it so long?
Well-
with like, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go.
No, you're good. No. Sorry.
The boss is spoken.
No, Nick Hill texted me while you were talking, so I was like, what conversation am I having?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, you
Go
can
ahead.
you can end off on that one. Miles, like give us the like sort of the rundown on that?
Well, so like
we'll hop over.
musically, I kind of figured out early on that if I try to adapt what I'm doing creatively to the likings of what other people are expecting,
Mhm.
I'm not going to like it, and I'm
Right.
never going to make anyone happy. So I just do what I do, and if people listen to it, great. If they don't listen to it, even better. That means
Yeah.
that there's more room for someone else to check
Yeah.
it out, and then
I-
they can say, "Oh, I knew Miles when he was underground." You know, like they could be one of those people. But like, I've never thought about the sort of like trends that are going on in the kind of music that I'm doing, because there is an inherent feedback loop that's going on where Periphery puts out a track that has a bunch of glitchy stuff in it, lots of use of like clashing intervals and things like that. And then all of a sudden, every band in the world is playing 7 and 8 string guitars, and they're doing the thing for like every single breakdown.
Yeah.
And I believe it's like everyone refers to it as the architect's sound, but like, yo, what's up, George? But yeah, like I don't want to be part of that. If there's something that is cool sounding that I want to implement in my own music, fine, but I'm not going to do it in the same way as everyone else.
Yeah.
Because it's too easy to have like this cookie cutter format of a song structure that has like all the frills of another song that's the exact same format.
Yeah.
And
It's ultimate flattery in terms of the people who are doing the copying, but it just kind of waters down the music form, and all of those artists tend to get forgotten, which is fine. They don't like it's actually a good thing if it's easier for people who are not doing that for all that to get out of their way. But what you were saying about oh shoot, you said something and I was gonna connect it, and I can't remember what I was gonna connect it to now. Damn.
oh, no.
Anyway, yeah, sorry. But yeah, the paying attention to other people. Oh, I know what it was. It was the doing your thing, and it either works for you or it doesn't. And I feel like that's the ultimate motivation creatively for anything. There's no harm in studying other things to get more educated on what the total potential creative options are. Totally a good thing, but be careful. Like when you're studying, it's like this is study and experimentation, and serve that one thing that you said. You summed it up so beautifully. You know, do your thing, do you, and don't worry about the rest. And it's more likely to come together into something much more unique and expressive. And yeah, Stephen, I think you do a very similar thing. But do you have any kind of what do you call it? Blinders on, so to speak.
With like YouTube stuff, like
With
what we're watching.
This is about your creative life in terms
Oh,
of you
okay.
are on the internet.
Music,
You do a lot of stuff on the internet. You're watching a lot of videos. You're listening to a lot of music. There's a lot going on, and you're also central to a lot of things. Are you specific about kind of like what you're paying attention to, and does that stuff influence you in a positive or negative way? What's going on with it?
Well, similarly to you, I really, as far as like guitar centric stuff on YouTube, I pretty much focus to the people that are in this group as best I can. And I even with that, there's so much that I lose track of things that some of the folks here are doing too.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Which sucks because I'll see someone be like, "Oh, did you check out such and such's thing?" And then I'll be like, "Oh no," but it's like a week or two old. I'm like, "Well, son of a bitch, I'm a dickhead." But like, yeah,
That algorithm, like 2 or 3 weeks down the road, is good to get it going again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
true.
hopefully I'm helping you by finding you later. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you looked at my stuff, it's mostly I watch a lot of tech stuff, and I watch a lot of studio tour stuff, and I watch a lot of woodworking videos. So like they are. I don't have any of like when I first started this channel for sure. Like Bunn and like Stay Metal Ray and those types of guys would cycle into my feed, but I don't get any of that anymore. I see you guys because I'm subscribed to you and it comes up first. Beyond that, it's not. It doesn't affect me at all because I'm not that interested. Sorry, like I'm not interested in what Fluff is doing anymore. Like I watched his stuff early on before I even had a YouTube channel. I loved it. But at a certain point, it became redundant, which is the thing. It's like, I kind of fear that too. I feel like once everyone gets to a certain level of success, their channel, as Miles pointed out, just kind of becomes the same thing over and over again. And it's like, if I don't catch a few of them, I haven't missed much. And I don't like to feel that way, and I certainly don't want my channel to feel that way either. But it's just reality. It will happen. But as far as music I listen to on here, if I listen to music on my phone, I don't listen to anything that sounds like what I'm doing because, well, I'm in a band that kind of started its life as a doom sludge band, and I don't like doom sludge bands, which is funny. So like I'm not that interested in what the Weed Eaters of the world are doing, so it doesn't have an influence on me.
Right. You just naturally, kind of like with Miles, it's just naturally kind of tuned into what you're doing.
Right. And as time has went on and I've been doing the same project so long, I know what I want to hear and what I want to achieve with it. And if something bleeds into that from something I hear in my periphery, that's awesome. But
I'm going to think that it's probably more likely to influence it in a positive way.
For sure, yeah. And if I feel like something's too close, like it's cutting it too close, then I'm going to do something to make it different or change it. If that's as simple as changing the tone or playing it at a different key or something that band would never do, then whatever.
Yeah.
But for the most part, which we've covered many times on here, I tend to listen to a lot of stuff that's not connected to that because I feel like it influences me in a much more positive way because I'm literally taking from things I'm not doing. I'm not getting influenced by what is this guy doing on guitar. I'm getting influenced by like, how is this like, electro pop act programming this thing to work with this vocal melody or like that stuff's more interesting to me, and it translates itself into my guitar playing, even subconsciously or on purpose. Like, I've said it before, like I really love Sylvanesso, but it's like they're just an electro pop band. There's nothing special going on there, but there are things they do with vocal layering and timing that when they're applied to things like guitar melodies or counter melodies, they make a lot more not make more sense because counter melody is a counter melody, but like it's just more interesting because it's not like how many times can you hear Slayer, play one solo here and the other one a third of it. Like it's just not that interesting.
Hey, their solos are different and unique. You take that back.
I'm sorry. Sorry, Slayer.
Sorry, Slayer. All those chromatic notes.
Like, and it has its place. It just doesn't have its place for me. Like, it's just not my jam. Yeah. And I'd rather be influenced from something that's not connected to that world.
100% stuff that is not written on the guitar and then sort of interpreted into the guitar. There's a reason why a lot of jazz guitar players listen to a lot of sax players, a lot of horn players in general, because it's slippery. The way it plays is very slippery. It's very different than the guitar approach. And
I think that's why I gravitated towards bands like Unprocessed and Polyphia, just because it was different. Like it was familiar, but it was different because it was on guitar.
Yeah. And they're taking it from probably electronic music.
Yeah. And I mean, I listen to a lot of like pop and R&B stuff, unbeknownst to my coworkers. I usually walk into work and then I'm like Metallica's blasting and I'm like listening to Billie Eilish and just thinking like the bass is fat on this. Like how'd they get that?
Billie Eilish, that album is crazy.
Her production, her brother, I don't know what he's doing.
Just the writing. The writing is insane.
Yeah, dude.
So good.
Logic came with one of those songs.
Pre-ordered a vinyl of the new record.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm kind of hyped.
Amazing. Yeah. Whatchamacallit, dudes, it's 10:30. We're gonna kind of wind her down here. All right, is there any sort of parting thoughts, Miles? You got a pal here, Guitar Guru. There you go. Miles, you first.
What's one tool you guys couldn't do without? I mean, I'm a Floyd Rose guy, so Allen wrenches for sure.
Okay. I like how you interpreted that, because I interpret it as like a tool, a musical creation tool, and you are going for it. I think all bets are off in terms of what it needs to be. I think it needs
At
to
this
be whatever
point,
you
in
think.
terms of songwriting, I'll take whatever I can get.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
Usually my brain is just static, and I'm staring at my notebook, being like, "Okay, go,
Yeah.
hit it, brain."
Hit it, be Dr. Brain. Mr. Steven, you got a particular item that is really important to everything you do?
A notebook, like just having access to something. Like I do it a lot on the iPad now, but just being able to get ideas from my brain to that. And I draw, so sometimes I can like actually sketch out the idea in as silly as it may sound. Like if I have an idea and I'm like, oh, how do I get that to work audibly or whatever? Like I can be like, well, if I do this, so like I can draw it out and it helps me connect things. I learned weird, so
Yeah.
but it gives me a way to kind of actually see what it is I'm trying to achieve versus just
It's
having it
mentally
stuck.
stimulating.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And like visual, just you can
Yeah.
you could draw out the visual arcs of a movement of music, which is really cool. I've done that. It works. For me, I would say my lap. I work out most of my beats on my lap.
Nice.
And it's always available, no matter where you are. It's super weird.
No one's gonna take my lap from me.
Ain't taking my lap away. You know what I mean? It's that
That's
old
a
lap.
cry for my cold dead hands.
Yeah.
I once saw Fleetwood Mac, and I'm going to connect this to your lap adventure.
My lap dancing.
So, Mick Fleetwood, at some point during their set, came out with a bunch of MIDI pads on his chest and on his legs,
Whoa. Okay.
and was just like playing very poorly, might I add, playing a bunch of like random stuff that was assigned to these MIDI pads on his clothing.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
You're not
It
kidding.
really is.
And this was like late 90s, like whenever they did one of their multiple reunion tours, prior to Mike Campbell being in the band, of course. But yeah, it was just it was weird because your lap thing was like, oh, that's where my brain went immediately. Mick Fleetwood ruining the show.
Awesome.
That's I don't know if you know Bella Fleck, but the drummer in Bella Fleck his name is Future Man, actually. And he's an amazing drummer. He can play kit really well, but he plays a synth-ox. I don't know if you remember the synth-ox.
I've seen that, yeah.
A lot of stuff. I'm bringing up a lot of stuff right now. But he plays a synth-ox, but it's all retrofit with MIDI pads all over the place. And he plays all the drum stuff for Bella Fleck all on pads. And he's a hell of a finger drummer, man. Unbelievable.
Yeah, he's great. I've seen that. What I experienced was the opposite of that.
the polar opposite.
If you like go to see a band that's that big and you hear like nothing coming out of the audience except for like two guys that are drummers that are like, that's not a good sign, especially in an arena when everyone's like, when is this over? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. Where's
Is
the
Stevie
beer
Nicks
garden?
gonna say something about witches and gypsies?
Oh, have you guys watched the documentary with Dr. Dre and Jimmy?
Ivy?
Yeah, Jimmy Ivy and Dr. Dre. I can't remember what it's called.
Yes.
It's a
yeah.
crazy series, man. I'm like,
that's great.
Jimmy, I
HBO.
had no idea Jimmy was connected to all that stuff.
Yep.
It's
Nine Inch
crazy.
Nails. Like, it's wild.
Everything.
Yeah. I can't think what it's on HBO.
It's on Netflix as well. It just, the
I'll
covers.
just put on Netflix. Okay.
Yeah, but it shows up with the Netflix. Like, there's no pictures for some
I'll have
reason.
to look it up. Like, I got really frustrated earlier today trying to watch TV, and found all the sort of garbage YouTube videos, and I was just like, you know what, I'm done. going downstairs. I'm gonna stare at my desk until I do something productive.
Right. Yeah, yeah. It's and did it work out? Did you get
It
one
did.
thing?
It
Did you
did.
get one thing? Good.
Yes. Yes. I've been working on some new graphics for some new merchandise for the band. And then I rode my bike to the post office.
Awesome.
And then I went over by the church that's nearby my house that has like a kind of natural ramp and potentially almost broke my back. But you know what? Caught some sick air. It was okay.
Nice. The Defiant,
ones. Okay.
That's right. Amazing. Anyhow, we're going to knock it down here. It was amazing to see all of you guys in the chat once again. And apoplexia, you're getting the inspiration going. Where did it go? It moved as soon as I went to go. There we go. Apoplexia is feeling inspired again, which is great.
Nice.
And yeah, apoplexia, you got good ones here, but we're gonna wind her down. Great episode, guys. Thank you for hanging out. And this thing belongs to us, but I don't know. I just find it such a treat.
Thank you for having me.
Well, yeah, I think you're coming.
Yeah, likewise.
I think you're coming back. Mr. Miles. I would like to kind of make this like a 4-way thing all the time. You know,
Scott wants a 4-way.
I want a 4-way. I want it gnarly.
All hands on deck.
I'm going to take this opportunity to thank everyone with us over at that Patreon. Without all you folks at Patreon, this show probably wouldn't be able to happen with multiples of us, because the software is what permits it, and the software is expensive. And yes, thank you. I'm going to sign off. These guys are going to say goodbye. Miles and Stephen both have links in the description, as well as myself and Nick Hill, who is not able to join us this week, but next week Nick will be back. Do you guys have any parting hellos or goodbyes or thank yous or whatever?
Make yourself a TikTok account, figure out how to use it, and post some videos.
I'm going to do it.
All right.
Do it right now. Right now.
I'm going to do it right now. Good night, everybody.